Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Oh, man, welcome to the party. Shout out to Craig. What is good? Welcome to the party. We got a very special show for you tonight. I was on the Unreasonable Man debate panel platform, and it was a really good time, and I met Emmet, and we had a little mini bloodsport debate, as you guys have seen lately. And it was interesting, but we both want to kind of dig more into it. So we have Emmet here. Before I bring him up, guys, I just want to remind you that as much as I love having these debates and conversations, the donation, I don't get as much of a chance to talk about Morty, and the donations don't come in. So please make sure that you remember, if you like this type of show, then it is what it is. So let's welcome our guest, Emmet. Welcome to the party.
Hello, Mr. Caboose.
How
are you doing today? Can you hear me?
Yes, doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Sorry for the birds. They're in the back. They're gonna be here for a little while until they calm down.
Gotcha. Not a problem. We got Morty around here somewhere. Still trying to finish up the first of his, or the last of his peanut butter, but maybe we can get him some more tonight. We got Melted Mind Media in the building. Welcome, as well as the Steel Man. Very good to see you guys. So yes, as you saw in the title, prostitution, should we legalize it? Emmet is quiet. I could turn Emmet up a little bit. Again, we had a little bit of a blood sport type of debate on this, but again, kind of diving into the details of why we would or would not want that is, I think, a better way than to just try to, go debate bro at each other. So before we start, I'm going to give the floor to you, Emmet. Let the people know what you do, where they can find you, and anything else that you want them to know before we begin.
Yeah, so I have different things that I'm doing right now. My channel is called That State of Gaming. What I do certain debates. I talk about certain kind of politics, and then I wrap it up in the idea of the gaming stuff. I am a video game designer, and I do pixel art, and I do other kinds of stuff for fun. Most of the time, what I will be doing, or what we're trying to do, is bring some common sense. That's why I want to talk to Indian Jesus about this into the world. So thank you.
Absolutely. And very excited to get into it. A few more people hopping in. We got Kai the Deer Guy. Shout out to Confluence. Welcome. Good friend of the channel. Steelman said, in summary, Emmet is a clown. Well, we'll let everybody make that determination.
I am. There's a moment when you have to accept something you are. It's like, I'm an entertainer. I am a clown. It's fine.
Fair enough.
There's people that think themselves to be dumbasses, like Steelman in reality. So it's fine. Anyone can be what they want to be.
Fair enough. Emmet is ready to go. So why don't we start off by just getting an idea of your general worldview, politically, spiritually, religiously. How do you view the world? Just 30,000-foot view.
Okay, so I'm not gonna speak. I believe in Orthodox Christianity. I am not gonna talk for the church. I'm not gonna talk with authority for the church, but I can tell you that's the worldview I subscribe to. I believe that Jesus Christ is our Savior, and we have not necessarily rights, but duties towards the world that we have to fulfill in order for us to be able to have a better life, even. I would say that that's pretty much my worldview, and the way that I look at it is we have a duty towards us and towards our children and towards society, and it's an escalating thing, right? So you probably start with you, and then you start with your family, and then you go to society,
concentric circles,
and then you go to the rest of the world per se.
Right.
But there's a hierarchy, there's a reason of order that you need to follow, and that is usually for the betterment of yourself more than it's a betterment for yourself, because that would be the correct way of acting in the world. Right.
Word up. Word up. So now do you consider yourself a Christian, or you just see that like I'm not a Christian, but I follow that more closely than anything else?
No, I am a Christian. Like
Yeah.
I have faith and I have a complete understanding. Like that's the understanding of it. I try to explain it in a more rational way, not only in the I'm a Christian because I'm a Christian way, because that's the way I got into Christianity. It was through a reasonable stance on things until I got to the idea of Christianity.
Fair enough. And so then I would assume, as many would assume, that because I am a non-believer and atheist, that I'm on the left, but they would be wrong. I'm going to assume that because you are a Christian, you're on the right.
Yeah, I'm politically right. I don't subscribe directly to the idea of right left that we have right now. For me, we are pretty much center left. So either you're a centrist, which is more on the libertarian-ish idea, kind of the democratic central idea of where you can be, and the left is just the communist idea. For me, left is the communist idea and right is the monarchist idea. So they're completely separate in the way that you think about one another. So I am very much towards the right. So I'm a monarchist in a sense, although I do not prescribe it as a political. Like, I don't think it's wise for me to be like, yeah, I'm monarchist, I prescribe monarchy at the moment. I think it's way better to think of a political system that we can use, especially Christians can use their moral axioms to be able to have a better society without the need of a king.
So in your perfect world, would we have a king?
Yeah, and a church. It would be a king and a church, because a lot of people don't understand the monarchical structure. So they think it's the king decides everything, but it's institutionalized. So you have the king and you have the barons and you have all of the nobles, which are the men at war. Those are the ones that go to war. And then you have the church, which is the moral axiom of the state. So there's a lot of things that the church was integrated with the state, and they were they have a symbiotic relationship, right? So you wouldn't go to the state to marry. You go to the church, and then the church, if it needs to use force or anything, would go to the state. It will be symbiotic.
Gotcha. That might need to be its own discussion in and of itself. And then since we are speaking about sex and dating and women and all that stuff, do you mind if I ask if you are married and have kids?
No, not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Me neither. Two single dudes talking about prostitutes. So for anybody who is coming from Emmet's side or just catching this the first time, I am Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. I am the MAGA atheist, so I am very happy that I voted for Trump, but I happen not to believe in a god or gods, and I think that Christianity is great in many, many ways, but I don't believe that that is the best that humanity can do. So I am here to bring us to whatever that next level is, or to find out that there is no next level, and for sure, we know that Christianity is the best we got. So that I can kind of explain a little bit of the difference already. And so from my perspective, I see prostitution as kind of just like any other economic trade. But I'm going to guess that you see it differently.
Well, I see I think in the economic sense, when we talk about libertarianism, they make a lot of sense in the way that they describe economics, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have with libertarianism is the morality of the thing. So if I were to deregulate all of slavery per se, that would mean that there will be a blooming market for slavery, because there's no problem in the idea of just selling.
Well, I mean, the basis of libertarianism is the non-aggression principle. So taking somebody as a slave is maybe the most direct infringement.
Well, I can't just see them as not people, right?
I mean, I guess, but then given where we are, I definitely understand where you're coming from in terms of like, to not jump too far ahead, but are you invoking the notion that within Christianity, it's not just about right or wrong, but or also what to do and why you should do what is good and why you should not do what is wrong. Whereas we'll take the non-aggression principle. It does have that should, but it's a way more broad.
Well, the should is usual. Pretty much the non-aggression principle is the only should that you have in the libertarian idea, right? You should not aggress on others. But let's come back before that, because I'm not talking about. Okay. I'm just doing an easy statement. I'm not going through the moral idea. Just a description of the market. If I would have a market that is deregulated, would you agree with me that that market would expand?
I mean, it depends, maybe, but maybe not. Overregulation, I think, is a big problem with a lot of industries.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with you. What I'm talking is, let's say that I have, let's say that, because this is something that's very usual. It's a very common idea when it comes to libertarianism. So the idea goes like this: you have a market and you want to have free exchange of things. And the more you attack that market and that free exchange between individuals, the worse the market becomes. That's pretty much the basic idea in libertarianism when it comes to the description of the markets. Right? So if I have a market that is not regulated, in essence, what I'm saying is that market should expand because there's more people can voluntarily exchange in said market.
Yeah, lower barriers to entry.
Exactly. So if I have a market, I'm not talking about morality. If I have a market of things that I consider to be immoral, and I open the market to anybody to do that thing that I consider to be immoral, the idea would be that market would expand, right?
Okay. I mean, yeah. Again, I'll take your word for that for the sake of conversation. So then, continue.
So I understand the should when it comes to libertarianism. It's not an attack on them. This is a descriptor of the thing. If I have a market that's completely open when it comes to slavery, I would say that market would expand thanks to the fact that it's open. So we have, like, the Romans had these kind of markets. They were very big, and we have had different times and different. In fact, we have different countries that have been known for the slavery, like the Koreans. Like,
would it
Japanese?
Maybe I'm a little lost. Would it stay with your bottom line if we switched it from slavery to, like, drug addiction, where because the non-aggression principle is violated by slavery? But if we're going to talk about something like heroin use, then I'm fully understanding what you're saying. That, like, okay, yeah, you're not aggressing on anybody, but you're bringing down society if everybody's just going to start doing heroin. Is that kind of what you're saying?
No. What I'm saying is has nothing to do with the moral claim right now. It's just a descriptor of the market. So I'm using the idea of slavery. I'm being a little bit scummy. I will say that I'm a little bit scummy in the sense that I'm bringing up a thing that most people will think that it's bad, to describe how the market will expand if we have nothing to stop said market. That would be, like, the idea.
Right.
But I think
going back to, I think the drug thing works as well, because I'm not necessarily talking about the economics or the morality per se, but just the effectiveness of how we want society to run. I think, if I'm correct, the point you're trying to make is that if we open up the market for slavery, then that is not a good thing, whether we're talking morally, economically, or whatever. So we don't want that. And I'm saying, if it's still the same thing with drugs, and I completely understand you. If it's not the same thing, then I'm a little lost.
No, it is. I would say that it is the same thing. I would think that if we have, if we just deregulate all of the drugs, in fact, this has happened in other places. What we see, you can see it in the United States right now. There was, it's anecdotal. You can call me on that. It's fine. Today I saw a video of a guy that just OD'd on the street in, I believe, Portland, after he was given one of these safe kits for for the usage of substances, right?
Hmm.
And the people that gave him that were on the other side of the street because they went to get some food. So the point is, I can go ahead and make the idea of there's going to be an increase in the usage and even in the potential problems that may arise in a double entendre. So one is cost because you don't want those things to happen, so you may have regulation on them, and that may cause other kind of problems. But if you don't have any regulation, what you would have is the same thing happening because more people would want that thing, especially when it comes to drugs. I think there'd be a lot
Well,
more
and
drugs
I
on the
think
market.
yeah, and I don't think that that even changes if we just specifically talk about prostitution. I think if it's legalized, there's going to be a lot more of it. But
Mhm.
that runs into, I don't necessarily see that as a problem. I see that there could be problems that come from that. Whether we want to talk about the economic problems, or we talk about the societal problems, the morality problems, we can. I do see how that would not be good, to put it broadly. But there's a lot of
Okay.
things that are legal, or rather, there's a lot of laws that don't necessarily lead to the most optimal outcome because of the fact that we care so much about individual liberty.
Okay. Then let's move on from that to the. Do you want to go first to the problems of society that may cause, or do you want to go to the liberty claim?
Well, we got a couple questions. Let's see what those are, and maybe that'll give us a direction to go. So, Craig asks, "What's the difference between picking up a chick at a bar and spend cash on buying her drinks to get pussy, or call a girl on the phone and pay her for the same thing?"
I would say that both things are immoral, and you should just get fucking married. just,
How do you
you
get
want to
married?
have, you want to
What?
have some. Well, he's not saying that he wants to buy her drinks to get to know her to see if there's a potential mate in order for him to get married.
Correct.
He's
Correct.
saying it's
Just to
just
get
to
pussy,
get
right?
pussy. Yeah. So I would say
So he's not
both
he's
things are
not he's not
completely.
saying is one good and is one bad. He's asking what the difference between the two is.
Yeah, I think both of them are immoral. So I don't think there's a difference.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Shout out to Madness in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Said if sex work is a legal career path, what does primary education look like to a student that expresses interest to their teacher wanting to pursue that field? What should that teacher do or say to that student? So if it's a legal career path, what does primary education look like? Well, I don't know. Just because it's a legal career path doesn't mean that we are necessarily promoting it. I mean, there's many jobs that you could do that are kind of grimy and underbelly, and they happen to be legal. But that's not the type. I mean, I'm struggling for an example off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure we could agree that those jobs exist. And this isn't about saying we should promote this thing. We're talking about the legalization of it. And so we're getting into the morality of it because that is how we want to decide what the law is. But I would say that in this situation, then that's not an appropriate conversation for a student and teacher. And so in the same way that, a student could say that I want to be, I want to be a famous gamer at 6 years old, then like, okay, just because that is a career path doesn't mean that we should be pushing kids down that road.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I can agree with that. There's also there's a lot of problems when it comes to specifically sex ed with kids. So I don't want to get into it because it gets very weird with with TOS, and I would prefer to respect your channel. So I don't
Oh,
yeah.
okay, so why don't
I'm
you
not
just
getting into
give
it.
me again your because we talked about the Christian values and why and regulation, but why don't you
Mhm.
just give me your position on why we should not legalize prostitution?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why, but I think the first one of the reasons is we need to have there is a specific value towards both of the sexes, right? There's a specific value towards woman that's kind of being lost, and there's specific value towards men that's kind of being lost, and we are not taking into account how important family and woman are to family and to procreation in order for us to even have a country in the future. So if we devalue the idea of sexuality and chastity and family, and we put it up in the pretty much in the market, so that any grimy old fat guy decides to buy whatever it is that he wants to buy, we are actually destroying the future by doing that kind of stuff.
I don't even necessarily disagree, but doesn't that then push it on the culture to shame and taboo these types of things? I don't think we should be dependent on the government to be telling us the arbiter of what is good for us as a society. I think the laws should be to keep us safe and should be in line with our cultural values. But I think the notion that I would go to is that we should legalize prostitution, but it should be a shameful thing.
What do you mean by keeping us safe? Do you think that the idea of prostitution would keep a woman safe, for example?
Ask that again, please.
Yeah, would you think that's I don't know what you mean by safe, because I don't think, for example, someone that is being exposed 100-fold to venereal disease is safe. But I don't know how you can go ahead and give me a definition of what safe would be in order for me to say, yeah, I agree with you.
Maybe safe is not a good word there. But I'm trying to say that there's a difference between our cultural, or there should be a difference between our cultural values and what is legal. So in the same way that, you might think that drinking alcohol is bad for society because it's not safe and more people drive drunk and alcoholism and all of that stuff. It should be a cultural thing that we say, hey, you shouldn't be drinking all day. You need to get a job. It shouldn't be against the law to drink more than 3 drinks a day or something like that.
Okay. I can see that as a standard.
So why? Now, and so again, I see prostitution the same exact way.
Yeah, but okay, let's go to the other side then, because I was gonna go with the safe side, but we're gonna go to the other side. So, what do you think should inform law if it's not our culture?
I do think our culture should inform law, but I think empiricism on what we understand human flourishing to be should be right beneath that. So it's essentially, I'm essentially a utilitarian, but I put individual liberty over that.
You're like I hate this. You're using the destiny idea, the threshold utilitarian.
I don't know. Is that what Destiny thinks?
Yes, that's.
God damn it! Well, I mean, hey, a broken clock, being Destiny, is right twice a day. All right, I'm sorry if he's got one thing right, but yeah, I mean, whatever is the best that works, that doesn't infringe upon individual liberties, is what we should do.
Okay, now this is gonna get very, very weird when it comes to
let's get weird, baby.
Very, very quickly. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and say how we. Jesus. Okay, how do we know? Let's say that something is empirical. How can we understand what is the methodology for the empirical claim for us to know what is better in these kind of cases?
Well, it depends on what we're studying. I mean,
let's say that I'm gonna study PDF files, and I need to know if PDF files are good or bad for society. Do I need as a utilitarian, specifically as an empiricist utilitarian, to make it legal so that I know the effects, so that I can study them for X amount of time in order to realize if it's good or bad for society?
So you're just talking about enacting those things.
Well, I'm
doing something to a child, right? Because it's already not illegal to be a PDF. It's doing the thing.
It's a hypothetical. Listen. I'm not claiming that you are anything like that.
No. I know.
I'm not anything like that. It's just
it's all in the discussion. It's all in the discussion for the purpose. Nobody here is weird. Well, as far as I know know you that well, but I will vouch for you. Nobody here is weird. We are having intellectual discussion. But yeah, I think that the fact of the matter is, if we talk about, well, this shouldn't be legal because it makes society worse, then that's a slippery slope, because like I said, there's a lot of things in society that are not good for us, but because individual liberty supersedes that, that's what if you remember a while back when was it de Blasio or whatever, New York mayor tried to ban 32-ounce drinks because of the sugar intake or whatever, and that's just un-American.
De Blasio, I think it's de Blasio.
Yeah, that's just not how we do things.
Was it Cuomo?
No, it was either de Blasio or the guy before him. I forget, but so that's what I'm kind of getting hung up on. And Adam brings up a good point that it's rather natural for in cultures for men to have mistresses, and so that's not the same thing. But if we're talking about going outside extramarital relationships, that's not something that is unheard of. Again, not saying it's good morally.
No, I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. Okay, let's refocus a little. We need to go to the moral claim, and I need to be able to understand your moral standard. So I'm gonna try to ask the question one more time when it comes to the empirical claims, because
you were asking about the methodology, right?
So I was a full empiricist. Okay, a full empiricist. There was a time when I couldn't, like when I was like 17, when I said, if I don't actually know, I can say I know. And most of the time what I answered to any question was possibly, because that was the only answer I could give when I kind of believed something to be true at that time. So it's possibly true because that's the only way I can think about it when it's pure empiricism, right? But if I'm talking about society and I'm making prescriptions on society, and I want to know if the PDF files are actually bad or good when it comes to empirical claims, would I need to make that legal so I can study for X amount of years in order for me to have data on it and say, hey, this is good and bad?
I would say no, because we already have an understanding of consent and childhood development and all of that stuff. So because we've already studied that stuff with the proper methodology, then that's already what we are using to say that PDFs are bad. So the fact of the matter is that, if we, so you were asking about the methodology, if we didn't know that whether or not PDF activity was bad for society, then yes, the methodology would unfortunately have to be something like taking, looking at children who have been abused and, getting, I don't know, whatever aspects that we determine we use as a metric, and then measure those across the sample size. And then we would see, okay, so 90% of children who have been abused have X, Y, and Z issues. So it's probably not good for PDFs.
Let me read that for you. K2 keep on trucking with the $2. It says it's holding hands gay. Focus on cap letters, and the answer is absolutely.
Well, it depends if we're talking about men and women.
Because it makes you happy.
Ooh, confluence! Confluence! Oh my God! Bro, how did you not go there? Oh, man, shout out to K2, our new sponsor of the stream. Don't forget, guys, we do have a stream goal. This peanut butter is empty. We can get him some more. K2 got us started. Thank you so very, very much, sir.
Shout out to Abe Dinkus, because that was his idea in one of the debates. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. So I'm a little confused. Are we talking about the hypotheticals of studying whether or not PDF files should be studied to determine if there's a positive impact on society? I think that's where what the question was, right?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is to try to figure out a threshold on where can we get the empirical on. The ideas that I'm having is we have an idea of what is kind of good or bad, especially when in certain specific cases, like PDF files, we find that disgusting. Most of like 90% of people find it disgusting. So I'm trying to find that threshold where we can say, hey, this is good and this is bad, and then I'm using that as a way to get to the prescription when it comes to moral claims. So if you're a peer empiricist, you would need to have data in order to be able to say this is good or this is bad, because that is the basis of the moral claim. And
That
if you have something that you really don't want to have data on because it entails bad stuff happening, then you need to go there to have like an idea of where you get that information.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but again, I think that once we do the studies that say, okay, we understand that children can't consent at a certain age. That's why we have the age of consent. And then if you break that, then we don't need a study to see why you broke the thing that we already established, because we already established it. And so what is the establishment in prostitution that is so bad that it needs to be illegal?
Well, I would go back into the idea of that there's different parts of it. For example, the idea of actual security for the woman, so she's not being ridden with disease. For example, there is the idea of family. There's the idea of
Well, let's take those one at a time. So her safety then. So if
one of them is her safety, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think that if you're a woman and you're going on a date, then there's an aspect of safety there as well. I mean, date RP, as we call it on this channel, that's a thing. That's a phrase because it's women going on dates and then getting RP. And so should dating be illegal?
No. So
then the safety of it shouldn't affect the legality.
Well, first of all, would that be a crime? That they go on a date that they get R-word?
Yes.
Okay, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm glad we agree. Yeah.
So if that is a crime, because we're talking about the safety of the woman, that it's putting, you know, she shouldn't be at risk going on a date if she's trying to find somebody that, you know, they want to spend the rest of their life on. But if you're going on a date to with the specific intent of getting R-word, do you think that should be illegal? That's the intent of.
If you're asking if a man intentionally goes on a date with, if a man goes on a date with the specific intention to R-word her.
If a woman goes on a date with a specific intent to get R-word, should she be able to?
I don't think that it works like that, because if she's doing it, then she's giving consent, and RP is specifically without consent.
It's gonna be brutal,
can you
dude.
play that out for me? What is the situation that you're actually asking about? Should it be legal or not? So the woman says,
let's say that there's just two people, okay, in the world out. They meet online. One of them is like, yeah, I want to do all these crazy things to you, and the other one says. The man says, I want to do all these crazy things to you, and the other one says, oh my god, I am getting feedback.
Oh, from me?
Yeah, from you. I think it's the thing you are sharing.
This? Let's see. Get rid of that. Testing.
Check if you're. It was that. I think you're sharing your desktop audio somehow.
Yeah, there's nothing coming from that. All right. Well, wait. So when I add, you're getting an echo now?
Hello. Yes.
Weird. All right.
Maybe you have your own stream open.
Nope. I'll just share without audio. How about that? Testing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good. All right. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. All right. Just trying to get a quality and difference over on Rumble as a part of the discussion. And since we're not using this, figure let's pop that open. He said liked and shared. Thank you so very, very much. You guys know that stuff is free and easy, and it helps out so very, very much. It does not even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link. Just by you telling YouTube, Rumble, or X that you want more people to see it, they will show it to more people. Thank you, and welcome to the party. So I'm sorry, you were saying. I got.
The question is, let's say that the woman decides, okay, they meet online, guys, like I want to do all these crazy things with you. The woman is like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Do you think that should be something that people should
Oh,
do?
that's right. So we're running through the situation. So I don't know if I fully understand what situation you are presenting to me. So the
Yeah, there's
the
full
girl is trying.
non-consent. You realize there's full non-consent couples, right? Consent, non-consent. What they call consent, non-consent.
I'm not familiar with that term. No, what does that mean?
Um, oh God. It means that
We can look it up.
it means that if the girl says no, it means harder daddy, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Well, so that's getting into that's getting into like fantasy and kink stuff, and outside of the realm of if we're you know, if you have an R word kink, then like that's a different thing. That's obviously not.
No, but I'm asking, like, should we allow, like, would that be okay
So no, if
when
she
it
has an
comes to?
R word fantasy and she goes on a date to get that fantasy fulfilled, that should not be
Mhm.
illegal because of the fact that she is consenting to that by initiating it.
What if that person wants to delete itself?
What about if that person wants to delete himself?
Yeah, it's they're both together. That, you know, it's the same thing, but the guy's just gonna delete that person instead of that, and they're
I'm not sure
both
how that
fully
can.
consent.
But
Full consent.
killing someone is already illegal. I'm trying to nail
Yeah,
down
yeah,
on.
I know.
Okay.
I'm asking. I'm trying to figure out morality. Okay, two people meet. They're both fully consent. One of them is like, "Yeah, you can't delete me." Okay, and the other one's like, "Yeah, I'll delete you." Should that be legal?
No. And I don't think
Why
any of
not?
this stuff, like in any, whether you say that you want to be, we can say killed, whether you say you want to be killed or whether you're part of a dating situation or any of those things, that's irrelevant because that's still murder.
Why?
What do you mean why? Because that's what the
Why
law
is
is.
it murder? Yeah,
Because you
why
don't.
is it?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, you know, if we want to talk about the right to end your own life, then we can talk about that. But I don't really know what that has to do with prostitution.
Well, again, I'm trying to figure out what is the threshold in the morality. Like, I'm trying to figure out what is the threshold in the consent. Because right now we were like, hey, this is what I think this should be. This should be a possibility for the people, and it's moral because of consent. So I need to know what is the threshold of consent. I can go ahead and say I have all of these things I consent to, and I have all of these things I don't consent to. Okay, that would be preference based on whatever I want at the end of the day. But when we're talking about society, especially when we're talking about a moral axiom, where we're saying we're gonna make rules in society that all people should follow, we're gonna make them in accordance to not only our cultural values. I need to be able to say, and the reason why this is this is a just law is because it follows X axiomatic presupposition. That would be in your worldview. In my worldview, it would
Right.
be.
I get that's what
It's
you're trying
because
to
it
extract.
follows.
I'm just not
Yeah,
following how we're getting there.
yeah. I
So
need to know
again,
I need
so
to know
my
what
understanding
is
of
the
your
threshold.
so my understanding of your question is the woman is going out on a date and she specifically wants to engage in an R word fantasy. Good so
No,
far.
that right now we agree, or we said that's fine because it's
Okay.
consent.
Okay.
Okay,
So
we're
sorry, I didn't realize
now it's a self-delete fantasy.
it's a
And you said
self-delete fantasy.
no.
So she's saying, I want you to delete me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the situation. Should that be legal? Is what you're asking me?
Yeah.
No, that should not be
Yeah,
legal.
that's what I'm asking.
Because then we get
Why?
into
They're both consenting.
because then we get into what's the terminology? I don't know, but the mental state of being able to do that. I don't think that we are at a place where we can, at least legally, determine if somebody is mentally able to say, yes, I want to end my life. Now, I mean, hey, go to Canada and depression is enough. You're in the US, right?
Yeah, I'm in the US.
Yeah.
Utah.
And so again, I think that you're bringing up a lot of different things that are talking about why maybe prostitution is not good, and I agree with that. But I stop at the legal aspect.
Yeah. Okay. we'll move there in a second. I can agree with you, specifically what you said. I would go a little bit further when it comes to that, because I cannot. If I am an empiricist, what is the way that I can measure mental states, right?
You, what do you mean?
Let's say that I'm a full empiricist. How in the world can I measure mental states?
I mean, we have, I trust me, I have a degree in psychology and I know how bullshit with soft science it is. But there is a lot. I mean, we look into neuroscience and there are hard scientific aspects of psychology. So, I mean, we have brain mapping on what certain feelings look like when you map the brain with fMRI scans.
Okay, I can agree with you on that. Okay, but the question becomes, once again, because we're talking about a mental state. So how do we measure a mental state when we're trying to make decisions?
fMRI. So that's and then we have a much softer way is, talk therapy, psychiatrist, psychologist. I don't know. What are you trying? I don't know what you're trying to get to.
Well, if I'm an empiricist and I want to make an idea of whether or not a person should self-delete, then the only, I would need to have a way to measure if that person is telling the truth or is not telling the truth, or if he actually wants that to happen or not want that to happen.
Yeah, so we have psychological professionals who would be able to sit down with you. And again, I didn't even know this, but there's states in this country where that is the process, and definitely with Made in Canada, then you go through these processes. And again, I don't agree with that because I have my own spiritual ideas about life and all that stuff. But again, when it comes to the law, I don't necessarily see why that should be illegal. I think it should be heavily shamed.
No, I think it should be completely illegal. There are things in the world that we are meant to protect.
So,
and life
wait, you're saying it should?
Things we are meant to protect. It should be illegal it should be illegal for people to self-delete, and that would be like there would be consequences in the ideas of. Right? If you see a person that is like, you know what, I'm done with life and I need to do X thing, and you don't call an authority that will take that person and bring them the help they need, that should be a direction of the duty that you have towards that person, so that person will not self-delete. Okay. And I would say that is pretty much the same in different areas of the world. Like if you're depressed, I don't know if you can agree with me. It's fine if you don't. But if you're depressed, the solution to the depression that you are feeling per se would not be, hey, just take these 9mm pill, put it right next to your put it on your temple, and that's gonna be the solution, right?
I guess
I don't think that would be the case.
Maybe I'm trying to jump ahead too far. I'm very confused of what this has to do with the conversation.
Oh, well, okay. Now, when we're talking, I'm going to bring it back. So let's say that I have a moral standard of things that we want. In your case, it's going to be a little bit harder to get to the moral standard. That's what I was trying to make this line of questioning. But I do have a moral standard of what I would consider to get a person or have a society that is running in a better way. And one of those things that I believe helps society to run better, and if I want that is better, I want to remove the activities that are considered to be wrongful. And in this case, I would say one of those activities that actually hurt women it actually hurts them. Not only socially, but also in their health and in their spirit, would be prostitution. So I want completely gone, as far as I can, gone from society.
Fair enough, but we know for a fact that that's not going to happen. Like prostitution is always going to exist.
Not?
And so because look at the world, we have every society ever has done it, and it's been illegal in a lot of places for a long time, and that doesn't stop it. So people are going to do what they're going to do.
Should just so in that
wouldn't
case,
it be better?
Would be
Hold on. So wouldn't it be better if we know that people are going to do this, whether it's legal or illegal? Wouldn't it be better to legalize it so then we can put the proper resources in to make sure that the women who do choose to engage in it are much safer and they're not just, stuck to a pimp?
No, because it's not safe.
It's
At
not,
what point?
I know that it's
right
not safe,
now.
but it's less safe when they're doing it illegally. So if your concern
Right
is safety,
now,
if your concern is safety, then it's safer to be a legal prostitute in Nevada than it is to be a streetwalker in New York City. No?
no.
How?
What is it? Why is it safer in Nevada, according to you?
Because there's infrastructure, there's testing, there's companies that make sure they have people that register with the government. It may not, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's definitely more safe than just being on your own. I mean,
so you're going to a regulatory state that is going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do in this case to make it safer, but you don't think that same regulatory state that's telling you what you should and shouldn't do can't do anything when it comes to abolishing it?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so you're saying, well, in Nevada, we have all of these harlots, okay? And they are regulated by the government. But the government that is supposed to be regulating all of these harlots cannot get rid of them. It's impossible for the government. They can regulate them, but they cannot get rid of them. Right?
That was my argument. So if we can't get rid of it, then why not make it say this is the same argument that we used for marijuana, that it was illegal.
Why would I believe that they can regulate them if they cannot get rid of them?
What? Because regulation and elimination are not the same things.
Why would I believe that the government is able to actually regulate them if they cannot eliminate them? What do they need?
Because elimination is a complete thing. To eliminate it means that there's zero. To make it safer just means to make it less dangerous.
Okay, let me put it this way again.
So
what do they need? What do they need to regulate it?
I don't know. I've never engaged in this specific.
What do you think? What do you think the government needs in order to regulate anything?
Laws.
Okay, and what is the entitlement of laws?
What is the what of laws?
The entitlement. You break a law, what happens?
You go to jail, you get a fine.
And what do they use to get you to jail?
What do you get your...
Yeah, they use force. So in both cases, they're using force. They need force to regulate them, and you need force to eliminate them. Right. So if the government is so incompetent to use force to eliminate them, why would I believe that they can use force to regulate them?
Because that's already how the world works. It's much easier to regulate something than it is to eliminate it.
I don't think so. I think it's way harder to actually regulate. Imagine that somebody gets HIV, and how exactly is the government going to be able to regulate that person from engaging in the only activity that is able to sustain that person?
What is the connection between getting HIV and so you're saying this person is getting HIV from prostitution?
Yeah.
Okay, and so that is, again, that's already a risk of as Equality is saying, fornication in general. So that is that is an inherent risk that you're taking. Just like when you drink alcohol, there's an inherent risk that you get impaired, that all these things. So what I'm talking about is we have laws like you can't drive drunk. That makes it safer for alcohol to be in society than if you were allowed to drive drunk. Agreed?
No.
So you think it would be safer in America if we allowed people to drive drunk?
I would think that at this point it's safer that we have certain regulation with alcohol, because the opposition was not possible due to our culture. Okay, we like alcohol, it's impossible. But we have a bunch of things in place for people to be able to drive and try to keep the peace. We have a bunch of officers that go out at night just verifying any kind of weird behavior when it comes to driving. They can pull you over, they ask for your driving license, they have a bunch of tests in order to do that. What do we have? Prostitution cops running around there with their HIV?
Yeah, exactly, precisely. Yeah, that's
okay. Exactly I want to know if this is true, because I don't think that's exactly what's happening. I don't
So-
think that's a cop going to room 204, knocking on the door and being like, "Hey,
No, but
Miss
there's
Harlot number
mechanism.
7,
There's mechanism.
can we get your blood? It's time
No,
to
but
your
it's not.
checkup."
It's not about the blood part. Is not about it. When we're talking about safety, again, if you are going to fornicate with somebody, there's inherent
Mhm.
risks in that. You can't legislate the risks out of having sex. The risks that we're talking about
No,
are
yes,
getting
you can.
robbed, getting hurt, getting beaten. And so what Craig is saying, as far as I
That
understand,
is
you go to a place
exactly
like
what
the
you're
Bunny Ranch.
doing with. That is exactly what you are doing with. That is precisely what you're actually doing when you're having drive under the influence laws. You are trying to regulate the amount of risk. That is exactly
Correct.
what you're doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so,
So-
are you saying that because they can't eliminate the risk that the regulation will be imperfect? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Because I agree with that.
I'm trying
But
to.
let's go back to the
question
drunk driving.
Why would I
thing.
trust the
'Cause I-
government to be able to regulate it in the first place? If
I
they
mean,
cannot eliminate it because it's a use of force in both
So
cases.
why?
and
So
it's easier
okay. So
to-
then let's
it's
go back to
easier-
drunk driving laws. Why should we have drunk driving laws? We can't eliminate drunk driving. So why even bother?
Yeah, because it's a culture thing. We like alcohol as a
Right?
society.
And we like sex too.
Yeah. Okay. That doesn't mean that
Okay,
it's the
so
same
what-
kind of. One.
So my question is, why is it better to have
Mhm.
drunk driving laws, or are you sticking on it's not better to have drunk driving laws? We would be safer if you
No.
were allowed to drive drunk.
Yeah, it would be safer if you weren't. In fact, you're not allowed to drive drunk, right?
Right, and that makes
If
it safer,
somebody
right?
gets
that makes
you,
it safer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's regulation. So just because we can't eliminate
that's not
drunk driving,
regulation. That's
regulation.
That's prohibition. They are prohibiting you from driving drunk.
So fine. Then the regulation is prohibiting driving drunk. When I say
Yes.
regulation, I just mean the government having a say to be able to use the force that you talked about to address the
Mhm.
situation.
Yeah.
And so in the drunk driving thing,
Yeah,
the
they're saying
reason-
don't drive drunk or
Right.
else. Am I saying?
Right.
I'm saying.
And so in the same way, we will say don't R word, don't drug these women,
No, don't
or
be
else-
a prostitute
or
or else.
the law will come down on you. And you can have the personal opinion, just like I have the personal opinion, that one should not be a prostitute. That's not
No,
what we're
it's the
talking about, though. We're
it's a
talking
little
about the
bit above
legality.
that.
And you're saying it shouldn't be legal. Not that you
No,
personally
I'm
believe.
saying I'm saying it shouldn't be legal. It should be
Okay,
the actual
why
thing
then?
should be don't be a prostitute or else.
Or else what?
Okay, how many accidents do you think happen because of drunk drivers?
I don't know. Do we need to look it up? We can say a lot.
Yeah, we can say a lot. Okay, there's a
Okay.
lot of them. Do you think there will be more or less if it was completely legal to just go on and drunk drive without any
More.
problem?
More.
Okay. So I still don't believe the government to be able to regulate it. So I don't think the government has the capacity to regulate drunk driving. If they were like, you can drunk drive.
So you don't know anybody who's
unless
gotten a
you
DUI
swear.
before? Do you know anybody who's gotten a DUI before?
It is prohibited or it is regulated?
Well, again, as Equality is saying, a prohibition is a regulation. So do you know anybody who has gotten a DUI before?
Yes, but then
Okay, so
fine.
then
If
that
we're
is
gonna call it
that is-
regulation to prohibit prostitution, then I agree with you. I prohibit all prostitution. is
No,
regulated.
I want to prohibit
Yeah.
the other negative aspects of prostitution. I want to prohibit beating
Yeah, you can
prostitutes.
drunk
I wanna
drive as long
prohibit
as you don't
not-
swear, right?
Okay, I want to prohibit beating the shit out of a prostitute. I want to prohibit getting
How?
involved with these without a drug test. I want to prohibit women from walking on the street. It has to be in a building that has a license. All these things. That's what I want to prohibit. Those are the things that help make it
Yeah.
unsafe. I don't disagree with you that being a prostitute is unsafe. So is drinking alcohol. But we don't make alcohol illegal because of the fact that it is unsafe. And I don't
In
see
your
why
case,
it
you're
should be
saying
different.
okay, your case would be let's make this. Your case would be I'm drinking alcohol. Yeah, I have a theme song. Jesus fuck, I hate that. I have a car, okay, and then the regulation would be you can drink alcohol until you start swirling around, okay. So now cops can only go ahead and stop you for supposed DUI if you start swirling around. And then we see an
Mhm.
increase of accidents of people that are drunk driving. And you're like, well, but We only should regulate on the bad effects, of drunk driving.
Yeah,
We
because
shouldn't.
individual
We
liberty. I have
we
the individual
shouldn't.
liberty that
Yeah,
I can get in
I
my
agree.
car, and the cops can't just decide to pull me over for no reason. So again, the utility is
No, there would be a reason. You would be
no, I'm saying,
drunk. That would be the reason.
Right. I'm saying without that reason. I'm saying if I'm not swerving, if I'm not giving signs that I'm drunk, then I have the individual liberty not to be pulled over and questioned. Do you agree?
What if they see you? Okay, let me put it this way. What if they see you drinking? You go into the car, you look normal, and they're still pull you over because they saw you drinking.
That's what I'm saying. They have the reason. They saw me drinking before I got to the car.
But you weren't thrilling. At this point, we're gonna go back to the idea of
why does that matter?
Regulation.
I don't understand why that matters. What does
because
that have
you're
to do
trying to regulate. You're saying I want to regulate the bad driving.
Yes.
Okay.
Similarly to how I want to regulate the bad behavior
driving
that makes prostitution more dangerous, not the prostitution itself.
No,
I don't want to. I don't want to prohibit.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. You're
Okay,
coming
so tell
from
me,
the idea of. You're coming with the idea of personal liberty triumphs, the capacity for being, the capacity for safety even.
Right. Yes.
And I can agree with that. I even agree with that.
Okay. So then why?
I do believe that most of the time that would be the case, because all of society is worse off by allowing that to happen. And the only way you can actually make a dent on the effects of said activity is by removing it from society. You have to remove it.
Okay, so how do you remove it from society?
You make it illegal. Every single person that you see.
It already is illegal. Wait. No. It already is illegal.
In Nevada, it isn't.
Okay, but then outside of Nevada and Oregon, there's still prostitutes. So making it illegal is not an effective way to eliminate it.
Yeah, OnlyFans is completely legal. There's a lot of fucking pages that you can get a lot of this kind of shit that is completely legal. There's a lot. Oh, you don't think? We're not talking
about OnlyFans. We're not talking about
it. It is prostitution.
Okay, fine. I agree with you. But that's a pivot. Let's go back.
No, it's not a pivot. It is legal.
Let's go back 15 years before there was OF.
Okay.
Do we agree that with two things? One, that prostitution was illegal in most states. And two, that there also were still prostitutes.
Yes, and I can even say
okay, so then making it illegal does not eliminate it.
No, it does. It reduces it to the minimum amount possible.
Right. That's not.
We're not allowing it in society. Okay. We're not saying it's fine. We're not saying, hey, you know what? This is a career path you can take. It's gonna be fine. We're actually going through the pains of having to deal with the people that are doing it. And what we've seen in the past 20 years is not actually dealing with that. We've been allowing it to happen more and more and more and more. And the effects on society, especially when it comes to women, have been completely and absolutely atrocious.
I don't disagree with you. I'm still now asking if your standard is this makes society worse, therefore it should be illegal. Then there's a lot more things that you should believe.
Yeah, I would say that there's a lot more things that I agree with that. I would say PDF files would be completely legal. I would say slavery would be completely legal. I would say murder is completely
alcohol,
legal.
Driving cars,
drinking,
using a skateboard, riding a bike, skydiving. All of these things are dangerous.
Driving. There's a difference. Driving.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
While on alcohol would be illegal.
That's what I'm trying to drill down.
Using fentanyl would be illegal.
Hold on, brother. You keep saying there's a difference, and I'm trying to drill down.
Yeah, there are differences.
Okay, what is the difference? You're saying it's safety.
It's not purely
there are other
safety.
Safe things.
There are things that.
There are other unsafe things that are legal. So why is this unsafe thing should be illegal?
Because of the effects on society. It's not special pleading. There are actual effects. If you jump from a plane because you really want to do it and want to experience that. Okay, and at the end of the day, there's not going to be much of a problem with you. This risk, obviously, you can die, which will be bad for you. Okay, is there going to be an actual effect on society because you jump from a plane and use a parachute?
Yeah, if it's legal and people are doing it all the time and people are dying, then that's negative in society, is it not?
It's legal. What would be the grand effect on society because you did it?
People are dying. I'm not arguing that skydiving and prostitution have the exact same role in society. What I am
Okay, how many STDs are you gonna get from jumping from a plane?
Hold on. I think we're talking basketball. You're trying to say this is unsafe, therefore we should prohibit. And
No,
I'm saying,
it's
well,
not,
there's a
because
lot
this
of
is
things
safe.
that are unsafe. Why don't we prohibit those? And unless
It's
you are
not
saying we
only
should
that it's
prohibit-
unsafe.
please, if you are saying anything that is unsafe should be illegal, then okay, we can agree to disagree and bring up some people and see if they want to chat. But if that's not what you're saying, then I need to understand why the specific action of prostitution that is not safe should be illegal, while there are many other things that are not safe that can bring down society, like, I don't know, fucking pride parades.
It's a holistic thing. It's more than just one specific thing. It's not
Okay, so
just
we
the
got
safety
safety.
of.
Okay, so safety is just one part.
Its effect on society. Okay, it's the actual the harm that is caused around that specific industry. I don't know if you heard it, but there's a lot of human trafficking that is linked to the industry. For example, this is something that's very well known. It's not just, well, and besides that, people, especially Christians, would find it to be completely immoral and abhorrent. And if that is the case, and we live in a society that we can use our morals to say what kind of society do we have, why should it be wrong for us to say, hey, no, we don't want this kind of crap, and we're gonna ban it.
Who's we, then?
And if we see you doing it, we're gonna put you in jail.
So
What?
that gets into who is we then, because the prostitutes clearly want it, the
Christians.
Johns clearly want it.
Yeah, Christians.
Why do you get?
A bunch of Christians are gonna go there and gonna be like, yeah, we don't want.
Okay,
you
why
to do
why
it.
does that matter though?
Because we're the majority.
And if you're not voting that way, then
We've been told that we couldn't vote that way, but we can, and we're going to, and then we're gonna ban it, and then you're gonna say what?
I mean nothing.
Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong for a bunch of Christians to go together, vote it in, and say you're not gonna fucking do it because we don't want it?
Because that infringes on individual liberty. That is
who
un-American.
No, it's completely American. We're gonna make an amendment. We're gonna go through the whole process. It's gonna be peaceful, and you're gonna be like, yeah, it is completely legal. It's completely legal, and it's completely legal for us to say that we don't want you to do it.
Fair enough. So then what happens when in the next 50 years, the trends continue and outside of this little crucible bump that Christianity is going by the wayside, and then all the evil atheists then decide, oh no, it is legal. We want it to be legal. Then it's okay because
when
want
we
it?
get there, well, if we get there, we'll get there. But we're not gonna get there because you know what? You guys don't reproduce anyway. So a bunch of baby Christians are being born right now, and their baby Christians are gonna go out and vote like Christians. Are gonna be like, shit, suck it, atheist. You guys don't reproduce anyway, and we're gonna have a bunch of laws that are Christian based. It's gonna be great. That's what's gonna happen.
Okay, so hypothetically, though, if that doesn't happen and we see the trends continue as they are and that secularity increases and religiosity decreases by a significant amount, then it would be okay because we, the electorate, decided that prostitution is legal. You wouldn't have a problem with that.
I would say that in that case, I have a problem with it. I would go ahead and tell you what is the prescription when it comes to Christianity and why you shouldn't do it, which is all of the evil things that are associated with it. But I will agree that the authority is saying that it's something that is legal, as it is right now. So what we want to do is not necessarily destroy the whole process. What we want to do is being able to use the system in accordance to our ethics and say, you know what, we're done with people who have no morality telling us what we are supposed to be able to do and we should do when we actually have a moral standard.
Would we? Yeah, I think we would, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the Christian standard. I think it could.
What is your standard? That's what I wanted to go at the beginning with the standard and the threshold. And if you actually look at the conversation,
I don't follow a particular ideology. As I buy this whole.
Yeah, I know, but what do you follow?
So like I said, I am essentially a utilitarian that puts individual liberty over that. Whatever is the best for you.
How do you
I don't know.
What is the utility?
I don't know. But if I do know the utility, then I want to go with what is best. So
How
the
do you
game,
know what is best? That is the problem.
I just said I
The
don't
problem
know.
with utilitarianism is that 99% of the time, the answer to what the utility is would be I don't know. I believe X thing, and then I don't know what you believe in
Yeah,
anyway.
because nobody's allowed to have that conversation because you get shouted down. You're like, no, you don't already have the answer, so it must be Christianity. How am I supposed to figure it out?
What?
Exactly.
I didn't do
How am I
that.
supposed to-
Did I do that?
No, I didn't say you
What
specifically.
did I do specifically?
You just asked me that. You just said that my position is untenable because I don't already have a different answer. How am I supposed to come up with a
No.
different? How am I supposed to come up with a different answer if every time I try to bring up the discussion, I'm expected to already have the answer? I can't have the answer before I have the discussion. I need to have the discussion before I have the answer. I'm trying to have the discussion in part right now, and then you're just like, no, well, you don't have the answer, so we can't have the discussion. So I don't know. Christianity didn't just appear in one day. So I don't know why we would expect
Christianity appear in one day. You know, Christ
No,
did it in one
it did
day.
not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. He did the sacrifice in one day and then was reborn
Is that
3
what I
days
said?
later.
Is that what I said? Did I say
What
he
I'm
died?
saying,
No, I said
what I am
Christianity as
saying,
an ideology did not just evolve overnight. There was
no,
nothing.
it didn't just
There was
evolve
nothing written
overnight.
about
That's
Jesus
agree.
for decades.
No, there was a lot written about Jesus. Very close to the whole thing. There's a lot that we've lost. I can agree with that. But you cannot say that nothing was written about Jesus for decades. Because you don't know. It's a claim that you will not be able to sustain.
My point is, dude, that you are trying to say that because I don't already have the answer, that you have the right answer.
No, I ask you for your answer,
Right,
and I
and
went
I don't
to
have
the
it yet.
pains of
That
trying
doesn't.
to
Okay,
understand
let's
what
use an
is
analogy.
your
Let's use an
threshold
analogy.
when it comes to morality,
Let's
and
use
I
an analogy.
cannot get there.
Let's use an analogy.
Well, okay, Indian Jesus. One before that, okay? Let's put it this way: have you questioned my moral standards?
No.
So how do you know what is my moral standard and why I stand? Where do I get
trying
it
to
from?
figure it out by asking you these questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Why should prostitution be illegal and other things that are not safe should be legal? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Because it's a holistic thing. This specifically when it comes to
So we got the
prostitution,
safety
it's not
aspect.
only safety, but it's also the effects on
Society gets
society
devalued
and the evils
harm.
and the
I got you.
and
I
the
wrote all of that down.
evils.
And so what I am saying is that, okay, fair enough. If you are saying that anything that has the three things of safety, society being devalued, and causing harm should be illegal, then we have a whole bunch of other things that you should say should be illegal.
Like what?
Like drinking alcohol.
No.
Why? So that's what I'm trying to get down at. What is the difference
Because there
between
are ways in which
alcohol
you can
and
drink
prostitution?
alcohol and it's gonna be fine.
Say again?
There are ways for you to be able to drink alcohol that's gonna be perfectly fine.
There's no way to have sex with a woman that's not perfectly fine?
Yeah, if you get married. Are we talking about getting married? Am I talking about,
No,
banning
but we were
marriage?
talking about
Perfectly.
harm. We were talking about harm.
No, we're not talking about harm. You keep pivoting. It's like I'm not saying one is X, one is bad because of X thing. I'm saying one is bad because of the whole framework of the thing.
Okay, but I'm saying you gave me three criteria: safety,
what is
society being devalued, and harm. I've met all three of those with drinking alcohol, and you said it's okay.
Let's use that with marriage.
Hold on.
Do it with marriage.
Hold on. You gave me three criteria: safety, society being devalued, and harm. And you said
do it with marriage.
Hold on, dude. You said those are the holistic reasons why prostitution should be illegal. But then I presented to you something else that meets all three holistic criteria, and you say no. And I'm asking you, what is the difference? What is the difference between thing A that meets all three criteria and thing B that meets all three criteria, and you only want one of them to be illegal?
Can you drink a beer and be perfectly fine?
Yes. Can you fuck a whore one time and be fine?
No.
How do you know that?
Because you need to have a market for it, and the market is the thing that is causing the harm.
What does a market have to do with an individual having sex with one person one time? You're saying it is impossible.
No.
Okay, I just want to clarify my question.
No, you're not. You're pivoting. You pivot so hard that I don't even know how to explain how much you pivoted.
I'm what?
Pivoting. What was the question you asked first? What was the first question you asked?
I'm saying if thing A meets all three criteria, and because it meets those three criteria, it is illegal. It should be illegal in your mind. Then why are there other things that meet all three criteria that are legal? What
because
is
they
the
don't meet
difference?
them. They don't meet them. That's the reason why.
So you think that alcohol is completely safe?
No.
You think it doesn't devalue society to have alcoholics?
Uh,
You don't think alcohol harms your body?
Is everybody
Those are the
that
criteria you
drinks?
gave.
Is everybody? Oh my God. Okay. Let me know when you're done, and I'll listen to you.
I'm done. Go ahead. I gave the three, and you're saying there's a difference, and I'm asking what's the difference.
Yeah. Okay. Is everybody that drinks alcohol is an alcoholic?
Nope.
Okay. Can you drink alcohol without having any kind of problem in society?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the actual market for alcohol a problem for society? Like the farmers that are producing the grain, the people that are working on the factories to produce the alcohol, the distributors, are all of them a problem to society?
Again, I missed the beginning of the question. That's why I want to be rude, but I was trying to interrupt you because I know you were going off and I didn't hear the beginning. Mm-hmm. So I gave you yes to the first two.
Okay. Is the market that is being produced by alcohol, the farmers, the producers, the drivers, the stores, are those a problem to society?
Are the markets a problem to society? I'd say yeah.
You think the farmers that produce the grain that is necessary to make a beer are a problem for society?
Yeah. In the same way that the alcohol itself can't be created without those farmers. Yeah, alcohol is not good for people individually or society, but it is legal and it is culturally acceptable. And also, it is culturally not acceptable to overindulge. I'm not understanding the difference between why that is the case and why the case that's different with prostitution.
Yeah, because you said that farmers that produce grain are bad for society. It's like I can't go anywhere.
They're the worst things ever, but are they contributing to a problem? Absolutely.
No, they're not, because there can be a person that drinks a beer and it's not an alcoholic and it's not having an issue in society. Yeah, it would be a problem if the person is an alcoholic, right? It has to do more with personal autonomy.
Right. So in the same way,
just like a person would be a problem if it's an alcoholic, a person that likes sex too much and it's a whore would be a problem for society. So the whores are the problem for society.
Right. So
ban whores. Let's ban the harlots.
Right. So in one case, it's okay if you drink one beer and you're fine, but it's not okay to be an alcoholic. In the other case, it's okay to have sex with someone one time, but it's not okay to become an addict.
It would be great. It would be great. Yeah, it would be great, okay, for people to get married and have a bunch of sex and a bunch of babies, But if you're going to be around whoring yourself, then that's bad. It's bad for society, and we're going to ban it. Just like a person that is drinking one beer and has no problem is perfectly fine, but a drunkard that is outside the middle of the road is going to get tagged by the police and is going to be thrown in jail. Both of those cases, same thing. They're the same. We can agree that both of those, we can't ban them. So at that point, we both agree. Harlots are gone. Drunkards can be gone too.
I don't know that I do agree with that, but I do think that that's a good place to agree to disagree. That I think that if I don't necessarily believe that the harm that is associated with prostitution is the justification for legality. I think that it is something that we as Americans should take upon ourselves. We don't need to rely on the government to say this is bad, because we need to take responsibility for ourselves.
Yeah, but what if we're taking responsibility by using the government to ban things that we don't want in society?
Then that's the government's responsibility.
No, it would be the persons that are, because remember, the government is the people.
Separating government decree, and we just decide this because that's our culture. That's the dichotomy I'm putting.
Well, the people are the government. We are deciding what kind of government we're going to have. Let me read this. Let me read this because it's $2 for you and it needs to be read. Box, $2, the world oldest profession. And then he did send another one. So
Again.
I'm gonna go ahead and give him the next one's box for $2. That's Hunter. And you know what, Box? Thanks so much for the support to Indian Jesus. You are a legend. Keep on supporting so that he can bring you all of the entertainment that you desire.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, sir, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Guys, don't forget, we have got the swole goal there. Box just came in with the $2 twice. So of course that makes him the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. All right, we're gonna try to so I think, you know, we're coming to a place where we're kind of seeing like, okay, this is where we agree, this is where we disagree, and it's just a difference of opinions. So I want to, you know, not an official closing argument, but I just want to give you the floor and give you the last words, and then we got a couple people who want to come up and chat. Quality, I'm ditching you here. But I'll give you the floor here. Box, I'm gonna pull this down so in case Emmet wants to clip this. The floor is wrong one. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you, Lodge, for having me on. It was a great conversation. I think we agree on a lot of things when it comes to some of the libertarian ideas. Not necessarily on every single one of them, but in some of them. I will say again that this is a holistic thing. It's not only because of one of the reasons, but it's that multitude of reasons that make it so. I think we've been told, especially people, especially Christians, that they shouldn't be using their morals to do as is necessary for society and impose certain rules and regulations, even though we're gonna get, at the end of the day, rules and regulation imposed on us. So in this case, prostitution is bad because of three reasons. One is obviously the safety of the people that are in that industry. It will be. It also includes the women that are in that industry. It's because of the effects they have on society. It devalues. It devalues the woman. It devalues the family, and it devalues the society in general, especially when it's not being seen as something good. Especially when it's seen as something viable. That's the especially when it's seen as something viable. And then the last part would be because the effects of the market are really bad in society. It increases the amount of obviously SA. It increased the amount of abuse, and it increased the amount of rings, like sex slavery and rings of sex trafficking. So that would be the reasons why I would say that it's bad and should be abolished.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I think, you know, I gave a pretty simple reason. I think that, you know, it is just a transaction like any other, so we don't need to treat it any differently. So if you're watching this on the replay, let me know what you think in the comments. Should prostitution be legal? And on top of that, who debated better? Shout out to CT2. Yeah, right. Shout out to CT223. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. I saw you over in the chat. What did you have to think about all of this?
I'll be honest. I came in towards the latter half of the debate itself. Seems like, at least in the latter half, it seemed like Lutch was kind of making more points and more points, and that you would. What's your name, sir?
Emmet.
Emmet. It seemed like Emmet was kind.
That didn't help.
Kind of backtracking and kind of trying to catch up, but that's not necessarily why I'm not trying to dogpile on Emmet. That's not my point of being here. So, from what I observed, it seemed like Lutch had the opposition, but
I think you need some glasses, dude. But it's fine. It's my opinion.
Emmet, that's why I hopped up here. So instead of telling me I need glasses, you can tell me why I'm wrong, and we can debate it right here. So this is round two.
I don't know. you can tell me what is your argument. Like I gave my argument, and you can
Yeah, so he pretty
cross-examine me
much
if you want me to.
Yeah, to go over the main. So we'll say that there is more, but the main three tenets, is that fair, Emmett?
Yeah,
That
we can say it another way.
so I'll give the three, and then if you want to add a couple more, by all means. So we said the safety of the women, the fact that it devalues society, and then the specific harm to the women themselves.
To the trafficking. Okay. Emmett, do you want to readdress any of your thoughts, or should I go in on those?
No, you can just cross-examine me if you want to.
Yeah, that's fine. I think
you know what a cross-examination is, just before before you start.
Well, do you want me to cross-examine, or do you want me to make my points?
Well, you were asking me about, you said that. Well, okay, in cross-examination,
all right, let's do this.
What you do is try to put my argument to the. Just a second. In
hold on. So we just
if you just
CT, why don't you ask Emmett what you want to ask him? Remember, we said safety, society being devalued, and harm to the women, and he said that is a justification that it should be illegal. If you disagree, ask him what you want to ask him.
Should I put my training wheels on, Emmett? You're trying to be.
I don't know. I don't even know if you know how to do a cross-examination.
All right. Well, while you guys are bitching, I gotta stop real quick and shout out equality and deference, because vagina with the big $20. My goodness. Thank you so much. And Morty heard the horn, and he is ready to go. Thank you so very, very much. Of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so very, very much. All right,
I can answer his question if you want me to.
No.
For the super chat, ask a question. So I would.
I didn't even answer that. My bad, quality. Yeah. So equality said, I can't read it from here. We go. Would this totalitarian be fine with Sharia law ruling over him, asking for a friend?
No, I wouldn't be, because I'm a Christian. But for what I've seen, specifically in Europe, and how they've handled the Muslims, I think they would be perfectly fine being ruled by Sharia law.
Can I ask him? Where's that accent from? Where are you from?
Czechoslovakia. I'm from Czechoslovakia.
Okay. So to answer the third part of the question, so I think that if prostitution was legal, it would help women not be as targeted with human trafficking. Yes, because it would be more controlled. We wouldn't have this overwhelming financial incentive to smuggle people across the border versus women just being here and doing it. But that's a whole separate thing. Second part, do I think prostitution is helpful to society? Yeah, I think that's more debatable. Probably not. I don't think it's wrong. And Grand Emmet, I am a Christian, but I also follow the Christian morals of. What do you want to laugh at? What's your?
Sure, you got make a point. What are you doing? You got the whole floor.
I'm waiting for your question.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Curva.
We got Box in the building. Welcome to the party, Box. Let's throw it to Box and see if he's got something that can get this moving.
Sorry, I heard something Slavic, and I just thought the word curva, which I think actually literally translates to prostitute or whore, if I'm not mistaken. Curva! Anyways, what I was wondering is, I feel like you were like all up on like, like the penalties and like we shouldn't be doing this. So I'm kind of like wondering the other side of that question, which would be like, how do we promote not doing this? How do we get to a situation where women don't want to do this, or we can, I also caught the last half of all this, but it felt kind of heavy-handed from just the last half of that whole conversation. It's like, well, you don't like it. I get that you don't like it. You don't want to do it. You don't want to see it done. I can agree with all of that. But the idea is like, how do we achieve that then? Like, what are some actionable steps that we can do to achieve that don't just involve like arresting people and putting them through jail, basically?
Well, I think it would be twofold. One is arresting people and putting them in jail and showing people that it's not okay and you shouldn't do it because you're going to go to jail. And the other one would be to promote the idea of
that's deterrent.
Having a family and doing And on the other side, which is what you asked for, is through propaganda, in which we're trying to tell the woman that one of the best things
propaganda,
they can do
but not actually help for the
Hold
women.
on, brother. Box. You gotta let him finish.
Okay, sorry. You said propaganda though, but no actual help for the women involved or like the people that seek that out. There's like no idea of like trying to reform them in any way.
That has nothing to do. Like you're making a non sequitur, right? You're asking me about prevention of thing.
Go ahead, Box. Let him talk. Go ahead, Emmett.
You're asking me about the prevention of things. You're not asking me about the reformation of the people. If you're talking about reformation, I wouldn't have any problem of finding ways to reform prostitutes in order for them to be able to be part of society and having a place where we can have a good one. Usually this is done through the penal system, and I wouldn't have any problem of not making these like a super huge kind of crime, really seeing it as a step, as a way for us to help those people that are lost.
Let me ask this. Let me jump in and ask Emmet, what law do you think we should add to the books that makes prostitution illegal? When do you think
one that is enacted upon, in which if you're a prostitute, you go to jail, whatever you want to call it.
At what point, at what severity should we make that? Because we, technically speaking, already have that law.
You go to jail, and then if you go 3 times to jail, you probably spend a lot of time in jail.
What do you mean by that one? What do you mean by a lot of time? Because we already have these laws. What do you mean by a lot of time?
Are you telling me that right now we're putting women
I'm not talking about
5 years in jail for being a harlot? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Emmet, I'm not talking about what is being prosecuted.
Around here, they try to keep them clean off the streets.
Hold on, Box. Emmet, I'm not talking about what's being prosecuted. I'm talking about what laws we have on the books.
I just want let's say that it's already on the books. I just want them completely enacted upon.
All right, so you want them to be more prosecuted. All right, so you think if a woman is engaged in prostitution, she should be prosecuted for prostitution and be thrown in jail. Is that correct?
Fair back.
Yeah, why is that wrong?
It's not wrong. I'm just trying to get it in place because currently on the books in America, at least, we have a lot of laws that say exactly what you just said, and they're not being prosecuted. And if anything, they get brushed under the rug to make it possible. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that's the right way to do things. I'm just saying your philosophy of saying we should make more laws is naive.
I didn't say we should make more laws. I said it should be illegal.
It is illegal, bro.
Yeah, it should be completely illegal.
It
should be something that you get prosecuted for and thrown in jail.
What about all of our favorite porn sites at this point? You know,
they should be completely illegal.
I know.
They should be gone.
I think there should be regulation there too. Honestly, I feel like that's a little fucked.
But Emmet, what we're saying is that if you are a prostitute, you already can get arrested for being a prostitute. That is already against the law.
What I'm saying, I'm not talking about an easy statement. I'm talking about the odd thing to do. The thing to do would be to take them all and put them in jail. I don't care if we have a law right now or we don't have a law right now. The point would be to take them and put them in jail. It's irrelevant. The ease is irrelevant.
You said propaganda, and I get where you're coming from. It's like we should be able to teach these people things early in life in which, like, we don't want to do this. We don't want to live around this. We don't want to be these kinds of people like we do for all the rest of the kinds of crime. You know, and I think a lot of women do feel that, but they still do it. And then at the end of the day, they end up in jail and no one gives a shit about them, right? And then it's even worse than that because the Johns that pursue these women, you know, rarely get caught as well. It's easy to get caught if you're standing out on the corner. It's not so easy if you drive your car around the block and you're gone for the rest of the week.
Well, I would
It's a
say
different kind of a
that the
thing. So
Johns.
it's a two-sided thing, and like the women
Yeah.
are one
So
side.
let's go at it this way, because I want to bring Madness.
Let me put it.
Okay,
Sorry.
Emmet, you
let
go
me
ahead.
put it this way. Yeah.
And then I want to get to the
Let me
chat.
put it this way. I would be completely fine on putting everyone that is trafficking to be put in jail too, especially all of the Johns that are doing it.
No, not the
Yes,
pimps. Not the pimps.
Hold on. Let Emmet finish, and then I'm going to talk. Emmet's going to
that
talk.
use the women.
Box.
Okay.
Emmet's going to
In
talk,
fact-
and then I'm going to talk.
In fact, I think it would be very nice if we have all of these people, most of them work for the cartel, to be bombed the fuck out of the earth, okay? I don't have a problem with the destruction of the cartels, for example. You listen, I'm gonna tell you something, City, so you understand. When you scream, your microphone gets completely fucked, and we can't hear anything you say.
Okay. All right. So did you want to land the plane, or can we get to the chat? Because then I want to get
we
Madness
can
in.
go to chat.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Madness first, just because he is just joining the panel. But Wiz has a great kind of a similar position as I do. Wiz says, first off, I think it should be societal and community based for going against prostitution rather than strictly banned by the government. I'm not entirely against it being criminalized. However, you need to change the culture before you change the laws. Otherwise, you have prohibition. So I want to go to Madness first. Anything that you want to say in general, I'll keep this up. And then if you want to address the chat.
So I think first and foremost, can you guys hear me?
Good to go.
Outstanding. Great debate. Going to say, Wiz, that comment, totally agree with that. That is a very interesting perspective. I'm not going to get into that yet, but I think we should circle back to that. Emmet, great debate, and honestly, I respect your consistency, and I definitely want to say just a quick glaze. Great call out to that donation. Honestly, that was a great way to call out even your competitor. Like honestly, I think that was awesome. That was mad respect. Now, I completely understand. It sounds to me like your position is that prostitution, sex work should be illegal, and I just want to make sure I understand that is your view.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not. When I said should be illegal, it's like a moral statement, which is supposed to be enacted in society. So I know that right now we might have things going on, but it's not being enacted. That's pretty much the point is to be enacted, right?
Okay, that I track. I have an understanding of what your perspective is. I think I would agree with Wiz's perspective because I think of it from a constitutional perspective. When it's something that's not enumerated in the Constitution, the right goes to the individual state. And I believe that the reason that was initially created was because we recognized the differences in the cultures between those states and wanted to give them the freedom to be able to make the decisions that best suited their cultures and their needs.
Yeah.
I do believe that an underlying laws of America are essentially a derivative of Judeo-Christian values. And I do agree with you in the immorality of prostitution and sex work. But as a fundamental situation, I agree with freedom, and I'm willing to put aside even my religious values and my ability to say, I don't agree with that. I'm going to raise my kids to not try to do those things. Would you be willing to accept that as an acceptable culture in America, to acknowledge that maybe it's not for everybody, but we allow people to do it?
I can accept that as a part of the belief system that you're having, right? I'm not gonna go ahead and post it up to you what is the correct belief system that you're gonna be holding upon. I would recommend you to see Christianity as more than just a framework of reference. We've been in power and we've enacted laws and we've done things like this in the past. When it comes to America, I agree with you. The whole point of it is to have there's a bunch of liberty and especially liberty ideas and ideals that are trying to be that we're trying to be a part of, right? And that makes total sense to me. The only proposition I would say, or the only change I would say, when it comes to my point of view, is that liberty can only be possible with Jesus Christ anyway. So it's impossible for me to see liberty as a pure value, and I will not be able to put liberty above Christianity. So I think in Christian nationalism, it would be Christian first, and then I will put the national identity.
Can I just ask
Okay.
a probing question really quick here?
Well, if I could, yeah, and I'd like to an opportunity to have a little back and forth if I could.
Have
All right, so we're gonna go Madness, and then Box, and then CT, and then we're gonna bring Adam in.
Okay, that is, so basically Christianity, Christian values should supersede individual liberty. Just making sure I understand that is your position.
Yes, that would be my position.
Okay, no, and I respect that. Like that is where you're coming from. I totally actually understand where that is coming from. Does that apply to all belief systems, or do we just pick and choose the ones that are in the Bible? What do we do with new belief systems or new inventions, new technologies? I guess actually, no, let me cancel that question. I have a more important one to follow up on. Okay, no, seriously, this is a better one. Let me cancel that question. I'm going to steer us in this direction. Frederick Douglass, okay, one of the great Americans of this country, had a theory called the 4 boxes of liberty, where you are supposed to stand on the soapbox, move to the ballot box, go to the jury box, and then to the ammo box when necessary. If you had to check boxes on which one of those boxes you would fall in on this belief, and I think this is an important question, and it's a very challenging question to answer, which boxes would you be willing to check?
Could you repeat the boxes real quick, please?
Yeah, sorry. So and they're to be used in order. The idea is you go to the soapbox, and my interpretation of that is you stand on the soapbox, you give your message, you speak your message to the public. Then you move to the ballot box, which is where you vote on the issues. If you feel your plight is underrepresented or improperly ruled upon or voted upon, you go to the jury box to make decisions. And then if that plight is so egregious, you move to the ammo box, and that is a metaphor for literal violence. Okay. The question ultimately is, which of those boxes do you check for these issues? And is there an example where you would check the ammo box? Is this an ammo box check, or is this a, hey, we go to the jury box, we fought hard, and if the country says we don't agree with that and we're going to allow it, do we allow ourselves to stay at the jury box?
Good question.
Okay, so I understand your question. So it's actually very topical. I've been thinking about it, especially lately, because of how I see the political violence that's going on. I would say that I don't think it's necessary to go to the ammo box. I think we can go ahead and do all of these through the ballot and through actually getting ideas. There is also in Christianity the idea that we have to submit to the proper authorities, so we can change the world without the necessity of violence, because we understand the future and we are looking towards the future so that we can change the hearts and minds of people and actually move towards what we consider to be a better tomorrow.
I will say I just love the response to that message. I think that was a great response, and I really appreciate that, to be honest. And I'm ready for you guys to move on. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
If I can, real quick, I did like your other question. It's just a very quick snippet. Could you give me real quick the question one more time?
You'll have to forgive me. I am not an Eric Cartman master debater. Thanks for laughing. I appreciate it. I do not recall my exact first question. I do recall that the question I originally wanted to ask was essentially about the pros and cons of regulations in sex work.
All right, so why don't you think about that? Let's go to CT.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
CT's been waiting, and then we'll head to Box, and we'll bring Adam in.
Okay.
So the first thing Emmet, you made was a religious debate. You judge sex workers because it is against Christ and it is against faith. I am a Christian, and what I challenge you with is saying that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute within the Bible, where Jesus said directly, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone," because they wanted to stone the prostitute, and Jesus stepped in and said, "Are you without sin? Are you without sin? And let he who is without sin cast the first stone." So if you want to make a religious debate and you're trying to say that, like, prostitution is it is sin, don't get me wrong, it is sin worthy, but judge on your own merit, that is not fair, because you yourself are with sin, and you yourself are not worthy of judging anyone. So for you to sit in your chair on a camera on YouTube and say that you judge these people for prostitute is not faithful. Don't that's antichrist. That's anti the gospel.
Okay, first of all, you don't remember that specific part of the gospel. No,
Well, hold
I'm
on,
gonna
Emmet,
answer.
Wait,
Wasn't-
Emmet,
I'm
just let
gonna
him
answer
finish.
to you.
Emmet, just let him finish. Just let him finish.
And then the second part of that is you go on a moral standpoint. You say that it is against the moral standpoint to make this actions illegal, and those are two different arguments. To make a moral and a religious argument, but to make a moral argument, I would say morally, it's free will, it's freedom of choice, and to reference the Bible, God gave us free will, so it's their right to sin. It's someone else's right to sin. It's not your ability to say they have the ability to sin or not. It's their right to sin, and if they want to sin, there's no government in the place to say they're able to sin or not. That is the definition of free will. And we can make an economic argument of saying it is economically beneficial for these people to make these sins. Is it right? No, probably not. It's not my place to say. But you've stood here and made multiple arguments that are anti-faith, anti-government, and anti-economics. Go ahead. Say what the fuck you want to say.
Guys, we're all fucking friends here. Chill the fuck out. We're all friends here. Chill the fuck out.
He's on one tonight.
It's done nothing to make me.
All right.
Yeah, I done nothing to make you my friend, thank God, because I'm not a fucking weirdo. Okay, so
Yeah.
you don't know the passage. You don't know the passage from the Bible. You don't understand. I was quiet when you
That's
you
where
asked
I
me
was
this
going to
retarded
chime in,
question.
by the
Okay.
way. I said I wanted to
Fox,
ask
hold
the
on.
probing. This is a perfect time for this. So I wanted to ask what part of the Bible actually leads
What
you
other
to
names?
believe this? Like, I don't understand it myself, so I'm just asking for honest clarity. Like, how did you arrive at this from the Bible? I don't understand that fully, and I think that's a relevant question.
Are you saying
Like, no, not you, Emmett. I don't understand how you get to, like, we should, like, deal with prostitutes in any sort of way.
Oh,
out of the
okay.
Bible. I
You're
don't
asking me.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Okay. There are different parts of the Bible. I don't see the theoladen as a right laden, specifically when it comes to the Bible. We are in fact imbued with duties of how we should be acting inside of the world. The proper authorities, when it talks about it, doesn't say anything about Christians not being able to enact a worldview where the proper authority is based on Christianity. In fact, most of what I would say,
What do you mean?
most of what I
Oh,
would
Bob, hold on, brother.
most of what I would say when it comes to historically to Christianity historically is that they built the church, and the church ended up pretty much being part and being in the state and creating all of the moral axioms and enacting upon them within the state. That's why I'm monarchist. So when you're asking me, like, where exactly does it say that in the moral ethos in Christianity, the Bible? Well, I'm not only I don't behold myself purely to a scripture because I'm not a sola scriptura. I also believe in the church, and I believe that the church has the keys and the
The thing is,
authority
what
to make.
specific?
Well,
I think he's asking
where
what
does it
specifically,
come
what
from?
specifically is
Where does
bringing.
it
Yeah,
you
but
to
he
that.
said he said
Where-
about
yeah,
sola
where do-
scriptura. He said what is scripture, right? So
yeah,
that would be
yeah.
sola
Yeah. So
scriptura.
what in
Where
the
does it-
scripture is the question?
Yeah, how do you arrive at that, basically? I don't understand that gap. There's like a gap there for me, basically.
No, there's no gap with us because the church was part of the state, specifically when it comes to Byzantium, for example. So there's no problem when it comes to the idea of having the church being part of the state.
Emmett, you have two atheists and one Christian arguing with you right now. Don't.
So what?
with
I don't
us.
think. Are you a Christian?
Two different groups you're arguing right now.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me the Nicene Creed?
I don't have to. Can you tell me what?
The Nicene Creed?
Nicene Creed.
The Nicene Creed.
Yes.
Not by word, no.
Can you tell me what it is?
No, I'll be honest. But hold on, Emmet, hold on. Because if you think you questioning me about the Nicene Creed questions my Christian faith, that is absolutely.
But what is that? What is the fact that there's the Christians and atheists? What does that have to do with what we're talking about? Just remember, attack ideas, not people. Attack ideas. He gave you ideas. Attack the ideas.
No, because he said he's arguing all of us as one.
I would like to point out where he actually did argue something that I thought was kind of fucking mildly intriguing, and that was basically when he said we'll do it through an amendment. And that's to Madness's point, because he was asking, like, should we do it the ballot box or the jury box or the ammo box, basically, right? And I think he basically said, you know, the ballot box or the jury box, I think somewhere in there, essentially. And that basically just, you know, it.
So let's.
It boils down to like there's some type of legislation.
Fair. All right, everybody stop. So, CT, do you have a specific direct question, or can we bring Adam into the conversation?
We can bring Adam in. I was just.
All right, Adam Cadman, welcome to the party, sir. What do you got for us?
What's up, Lutch? Gentlemen, how you doing?
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Emmett, you obviously identify as a Christian. I assume you're fairly learned in your faith, correct? That would be.
I'm not an
Christian.
Just to be sure, I'm not an authority. I will not claim to be one. If you have theological questions, there are people that are way better than me. I would recommend you to go to an Orthodox church and ask a priest. But you can ask me any question, and I'll try to answer you.
So why did you ask me what the Nicene Creed was? Try to get gotcha question.
Because it was a gotcha question, CT.
It's not a gotcha question. It's like
so
if you're gonna say I'm Christian and you don't even know what the
I don't want to waste
Creed is,
airtime on it. I do not care about that. Adam, go ahead and ask what you were saying.
I don't know what to tell you.
You want to come to the after party and we can get into that stuff there? I'm totally fine, but let's keep the show on the show. So, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah. Okay. So, you know, you're not an authoritarian. I get that and stuff, but you're relying heavily on a Christian doctrine that you hold in some way. And I was just curious in regards to, were you aware that early Christians had sex outside of marriage, and they were that was a thing? Were you even aware of that?
Do you have a citation? Do you have anything to back it up?
Yeah, the Carpatians. Carpatians were, and if you look at the letters of the church or early church fathers, I guess you'd call them, they spoke about these people, and the main reason was because they thought they were in the end times, and they felt that, hey, this was the last of it, and did not have a problem with it. And I guess my only reason for bringing this up is because, Carpatian. Yep, there you go.
The Gnostics?
Well, they're Christians. They're Gnostics, but either way.
What is a Gnostic? What is Gnostic?
All right, so let's read this out. The phrase Carpatians Christian is like a confusion of two distinct terms. The Gnostic sect, called Carpocratians, and the Christian traditions and the Carpo-Ruthan people, Rusan people who live in that mountains. So scrolling on the wrong thing. So how do you say Carpocratians were a Gnostic sect active from 2nd to 6th centuries AD. So there's a bunch here. So Adam, what is the specific relevance of these people in what we're talking about?
Well, yeah, my point I was bringing up, and I stated, but I'll restate it, is that, you know, Christian morality has changed over the centuries. And so at one point, the idea of sex outside of monogamy was a Christian part of Christianity. It's only been in modern times that's changed. And I'm just curious how I was trying to feel what your depth of knowledge of your faith was, or of your religion. And you've already answered that, saying that you were not a.
So were you asking in relation to the prostitution question?
Yeah, because it gets down to the morality part of it. Because if you're coming down on morality.
Okay,
hold on.
I cannot have this kind of discussion with you if you're gonna presuppose a bunch of stuff to my position that you don't understand. So when you
What?
say Gnostic and the Gnostics are supposed to be Christians, and Gnostics, wait, I'm trying to explain to you something real quick.
Okay, go
If
ahead.
you say Gnostics are Christians and you don't understand that Gnosticism has been a heresy for about 1700 years, I cannot even begin to explain you why is that a problem in your position.
You're
Okay.
a witch.
Yeah, but this is not about Gnosticism and stuff. That's the way in which we describe them today.
Well, the basis of your argument was it has changed because there was a sect of Gnostics that called themselves Christians that were
All right,
doing
Emmet,
next thing that's
hold on.
bad.
Yeah, hold on.
It's
we
like,
gotta go one at a time. We gotta go one at a time.
Yeah, you're getting hung up on that. Don't worry about that. I was trying to gauge your depth of knowledge. That's all. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to understand the question of morality here and stuff in regards to it. Because morality is just the concept of right and wrong, right? And then from that flows your ethics, right? Which is your behaviors, right? So if the behavior of our country, in particular in America, is that we are allowed to engage in our pursuits of happiness into individual consensual acts and stuff, then in general, and just for the record, the U.S. government, prostitution is not illegal. It's illegal in all 50 states except for Nevada. But other than that, it's not illegal. But I just trying to understand, like, if this is a thing that's an individual act, no more than if you go out to the bar or if you go out on a date or you engage in these things, would you also say, I don't like sex outside of marriage because that's my faith, and so we should make that illegal too, and we should start arresting people? How far would you take that morality?
I don't know. Let's start with you. Let's say that I decide on all of my free will and volition to just kill somebody. Why would I be wrong? It's my free will, and I would just do it
because you're infringing on the rights of somebody else's right to live.
Yeah, who made that right? According
I see where he's going.
Yeah, but you're not answering the question. I'm asking, how far would you take that?
I don't. Again, it depends on. It depends on the. It will depend specifically and directly on where we're taking the framework, right?
Yeah. So sex outside of marriage, would you say that's immoral?
When you
I would say that's immoral.
Okay. So would you arrest them like you would the prostitutes?
Depends. Maybe it's possible that I would. Yeah.
You said
so maybe.
Hold on.
Give us an example of where, please.
Of where what?
An example of someone where you would arrest them under those circumstances. Premarital sex equals jail. Play that situation.
Okay.
And then we'll go to CT.
There's this guy that is abusing of a kid. They're not married. I would absolutely go ahead and arrest him.
Yeah, okay. For the abuse
what about
of the kid?
two consenting adults?
I don't care. They're not married. That was the question, right?
No, but you just said
no.
Okay. All right, no. He's right. Everybody stop. He's right. We never specified. So let's specify. Can you give any situation where two consenting adults engage in premarital sex? Is there any situation where just by that metric you would be willing to throw that person in jail?
It would be very hard to get to the point in which we can say that there's been a crime committed. That would be
real quick. I got Alan backstage. I don't know you, so if you're gonna come up, you're definitely gonna have to cam up. Unfortunately, too many trolls out there. But yeah, sorry.
I can give these as a concession. I don't have a problem with it because I don't think there's much problem with it anyway. But yeah, I would come to the point in which I said there will be very hard to find
think there's much problem with that?
to show that there has been a crime committed, so it would be very hard to prosecute it. If the two persons are doing it.
But if you could.
I'm still pushing.
Yeah, well, if they're doing it in the middle of the street, I would absolutely put them in jail too, right?
But you keep adding these caveats.
Right, no, yeah.
Fine. I'll give you the perfect example. Shout out to Alan.
Yeah.
Welcome
I gave a I conceded that it will be very, very hard to
Okay,
prosecute
so
them.
I'm going to give you a
So
specific.
it's a concession.
I'm going to give you a
But if they're in the
specific.
middle of the street, I would do it.
Sure. So I'm going to give you a specific example, and is there any case without adding any other crimes that we have two consenting adults who are in their bedroom who
Yes.
both want to have sex, but they are not married? That's
I would
all
think that it
without
would be
any
a
other
crime.
without any other legal faux pas, let's say. Is there
Yeah,
ever a
I would-
situation where just because they're having premarital sex that you would throw them in jail?
I would think it would. I would listen. It would be. I would do it. I think it's impossible. I think it would be an immoral act and would be something that should be in jail because it should be reserved to marriage. But I think it would be impossible to prosecute. So I cannot say that it would be a way.
So you would make an arbitrary law, essentially, that could never be enforced, similar to your murder argument. Why should the law exist? So I understand your point, and I think it's a fair argument, but that's the same metric that you're giving.
Understand.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
because
I
you're
would make
doing
a
the
law.
same thing
You're
in the
adding stuff.
Well, hold on.
I didn't say I would make a law. I said that it would be impossible to prosecute. Why would I make a law about something that's impossible to prosecute?
Well, you said
They
yourself,
asked
so
me,
you
would
would
you
put them in jail.
Yes, I would put them in jail. I would.
So without a law, you would just put them in jail?
Put them in jail. It's
What's
like,
up, boys?
no.
I don't mean to interrupt. Can I ask Emmet a question? I just joined anyway.
Yeah, of
Hi.
course.
How you boys doing?
welcome.
Hello,
Welcome.
Alan.
What do you got for us? And then we're gonna go to CT next.
No, you're good. Emmet, I've been listening to your stream for a second. I've been listening to the points you've been making. You would say that you're a Christian man yourself. Are you like a very practicing Christian man?
I'm the worst of the Christians. Okay.
What does that mean?
No, you're not bad. You're not a bad person.
It means what it means.
You're not
Like,
evil.
I'm a bad Christian. That's what I am.
All right. Fair enough. Do you base a lot of your like personal morals and like likes and dislikes based on the Christian faith? I guess is my question.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I guess my point is, do you think that there's a genuine reason for Christian morality to be the utmost morality, especially in a country such as the United States, where freedom?
Yes, I would go
you think that Christian morality
the
is
transcendental argument.
Do you think that and this is a serious question, I'm not trying to put you in a trap. Do you think that other countries that do not follow the Christian morality are inherently less moral than countries that do?
Yes.
Why?
Why
Just
are you?
because you like Christian morality more? Or
Steve,
do you
we got
think
you
that
next.
they fail?
Because I don't think there's morality without Christ.
Emmet, but why do you think you're the judge of that?
Yeah, I guess my next
I
question
never
is why.
said that I'm the judge of that.
No, but if you're not,
It's
you're not
like,
the judge of it, obviously.
You guys are
but-
the judge. Yeah, look at me. I'm having a hammer right now. It's been decreed.
I don't know. I
Right?
guess
That's what I'm doing. Jesus Christ.
So I think the issue is that you're trying to say, well, I don't have the authority with any of this stuff, but I'm justified in saying these things, even though I don't know. I think that's where a lot of people are kind of confused. But let's go to CT. He's been waiting to try to get back in. What do you got, CT?
Thank you. Yes. So after everything we've been talking about, we keep going in circles and points saying that, and people keep asking him. So it's not quite his fault. People keep asking him, what would you do on this? And he keeps applying adverse judgments against them. And then I started my last question asking about Mary Magdalene, the prostitute that Jesus saved. And then you brought up the Nicene Creed of saying, do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? Why does the Nicene Creed justify me of saying I'm less of a Christian? And you bring
So let's just say it doesn't. Just ask the question that you want to ask. It does not matter. I agree with you. That is a non sequitur. So let's just throw all of the Nicene stuff away. What did you want to ask?
So you want to compare your authority and say that you have these statements to make. My question to you as a fellow Christian is, who gives you the authority? And then the more
Who gives you the authority to question my authority in this case?
what makes you think you're better than others?
Who gives you the authority to question?
Come
my
on, yeah, don't
authority?
answer a question with a question. He asked you where do you get that authority?
What makes you
I'm
think
not even using authority as a thing.
Fair
I
enough.
lay down a claim
Okay, so CT, he's not appealing to authority.
I laid down an argument. My argument was coherent. You can go ahead and ask me about my argument. I'm not saying I am the authority. I'm not saying you have to do this because I am the authority. I am giving you an argument, and I'm basing it on the Christian ethos and morals, and that's it. I'm not saying you have to do this because it's my. It's because it's me, and I'm the authority.
Okay.
Emmet, ask you this then. What do you think defines Christian faith?
What do I think defines Christian faith? I would say that would be the belief in Jesus Christ, and Nicene Creed and the Church. That would be pretty much what the definition is.
Not.
Is this going back to prostitution? Because that's what we're here for.
No, he's just mad at me because he believes.
It's fine if you are. It's fine if you. Well, hold on, Emmet. See, hold on. We're talking about prostitution. When we're in the Discord, we can talk about all these different things. We're here for a specific purpose. So, CT, if you have I know he challenged you on that. I don't think that was fair. I don't think that you need to memorize any this, that, whatever. And there's a lot of people who are higher up in the church that are saying you shouldn't be doing that. That's exactly where you're coming from. But that's a different thing. So if you have something on his argument that prostitution should be illegal, let's hear that. If not, let's go to somebody else who wants to address that.
I'd like to come in.
So let's see. CT, do you have a direct question?
Go the fuck ahead.
Go ahead, Menace.
All right. I'll say I understand your thought process, and like I said, it's consistent. I think I completely understand that the value system that we are trying to go under is a moral Christian society, and I can respect that. And I like to consider myself a Christian, but I'd like to also admit, and Jesus has heard me say this before, that I had been trying to repair my relationship with God. And so I'm going to lay this into this prostitution question because I wonder, could the allowance of certain behaviors bring people closer to the faith? It sounds to me like that is your ultimate goal. And that's not a bad thing, but if we allow the prostitution to be legalized and regulated, could that actually cause people to maybe see the error of their ways and make a moral decision in the opposite? And is that a good thing?
I would recommend you to read Romans. There's a specific part in Romans that is talking about sin, and what they're saying is sin is for the at the end of the day, sin is for the greater glory of God. That does not mean that we should follow sin so that we can glorify God. So I agree with you in the sense of I'm not. If you want to go and have proper reading of the Bible,
CT, we're not doing a battle of who is the better Christian.
That's not where I'm trying to go with this either.
We're having a conversation on prostitution, and it is relevant because his reasoning is very based in Christianity. But that's not what we're doing here. If you guys want to do that in the Discord, by all means. But this show is about legalizing prostitution.
Yeah. So Madness, I can say this, that part of I understand where you're coming from, and it's a logical idea that makes a lot of sense when you don't have like the fullness of it. It doesn't the fact.
So can you give us the fullness of it?
Yeah, but the fact that we believe that sin can get you closer to God because at the end is for the greater glory of Him, that does not mean that we should allow and even promote sin for God. In reality, we should promote good and closeness towards God, because that is the best thing for everybody.
Like, I get the challenge here that, like, essentially, why do we make murder illegal? Because it's morally wrong. And that's the same justification that we're essentially using here for prostitution, is that it should be illegal because it is immoral. And that is essentially your argument, correct?
Well, the moral, when I was asking about murder, and I was going to a different set of ideas, was to try to understand Lodge's position with morality, so that I could try to test the logic in his moral axiom. When it comes to me, I would say that it is against I would say that it's a higher evil that should be restricted.
I'm like, I understand wanting to like increase people's morals and make them make good decisions. I draw the line at making them go to jail for it, though, and that's what to a degree. Murder, yes. Prostitution, probably not. And I'm just being honest here. I just wonder, what does society, and is society a better place if we allow more of it? I would actually probably agree with Emmet. It's probably not a better place, but I don't think that the individual freedom should be reduced because of a religious or moral value. And that's like, I'm literally arguing against my own, like, value system. Like, I understand the hypocrisy that I'm even getting into myself. Like,
Well,
on one
I
end
don't
of the
think it's
spectrum,
hypocritical. I think
Yeah.
your value system is you're having a higher value on the idea of freedom, which is your free will, that
Yeah.
on the humility of setting yourself down to the morality of God and what we should do when it comes to that. I'm not
Right.
calling you. Wait. I'm not calling you bad or evil when I say this. I'm just trying to lay down that I don't think you're hypocritical. I think you have a higher value on freedom.
Right. So
that's fair.
all of that comes down to the difference between, again, as I was trying to argue, other things that fit that category that you are not arguing should be illegal, unless, like I said in the
don't agree
debate,
they
if you
fit,
were.
but fine.
You
Especially
gave the
alcohol,
criteria.
they
You gave
don't
the
agree.
3 criteria, and I asked if you
and
wanted
at
to add
the
any
end,
more
like, we
criteria.
agree that if you're not drunk driving is the same as prostitution, right? So those two things could be completely banned, but having sex with your husband and drinking a beer would be completely allowed.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you lost me.
Yeah. So the action is drinking. Drinking a beer is fine. The action is having sex. Having sex with your husband will be completely fine. Okay. Selling yourself as a harlot will be completely banned. Drinking while drunk, driving while drunk would be completely banned. Those are those would be
So
like
the combination of the
equalizers.
action, the combination of the actions is what makes it more immoral.
At this point, I'm not.
That would be the way that I would put it. Yeah.
Oh,
Fair enough. All right, CT, go ahead.
So you just said a key phrase. You said yourself as a harlot would be wrong, which I do agree.
Selling yourself as a harlot.
I think we all agree. I mean, does anybody think that you're not a whore if you're a fucking prostitute?
Using yourself as a murderer will be wrong.
Emmet, you also said that your argument against prostitution is that you are indulging in the act of human trafficking. Those are two different things.
That's not the argument. The argument was that
I would.
that was not the argument. The argument is that the market created in these kind of environments tend towards that and are usually very.
But I would argue
wrong.
that's the illegal market, and specifically legalizing it would, in the same way that we talk about drugs, that cuts the cartel's ability to benefit from that, and so that cuts the pimps and all that.
You can look for it, but I believe that
Yeah,
there's been a great market when it comes to these kind of problems in places like Amsterdam, where it's legal. So it's not only.
So yeah, that goes back to the farmer question, right? Because when he was asking you during the debate about like, are farmers right? And I think I put in the chat at that time, I was like, well, what about cartels? I mean, cartels are just farmers, and so are they?
Oh no.
Yeah,
Some of them are absolutely.
They're illegal farmers, but
I know what cartels are,
certainly getting
and cartels are not
cash crop
farmers.
to the market in that regard. But I'm stuck more on the moral bedrock, because at the end of the day, if we're debating something and you're trying to go back to this moral argument and stuff when it comes to, and you're basing it off of quote unquote Christianity being the bedrock here of it, I'm still trying to question it, because, like, as an example, in the Bible, right, Moses is given the 10 Commandments. I think it's the second one where he says, "Thou shalt not murder," not "thou shalt not kill," but "thou shalt not murder." But then he commands, the Israelites to go into Canaanite territory and slaughter not only the men but the women, the children, and the livestock. That's an ironic moral God there, and I don't mean to be a contrarian in regards to your belief. I respect people who have that a belief in faith of Christianity in general, and stuff. But don't you see that there's a slippery slope of morality there that you're trying to base your
So we're
argument
gonna take
on?
a real quick. We're gonna take a little pause. There is a slippery slope, guys. We just passed the 2-hour mark. I think Emmet has a decent amount of time, so we can keep it moving as long as you guys keep the party raging. Guys, you know, where is it? Exactly how to do it. So, Emmet, the slippery slope.
The slippery slope. No, I don't think it is a slippery slope. This is it would be first of all, it would be a fallacy because the slippery slope fallacy is a fallacy. But
Well, only if it doesn't apply.
I don't
Slippery
think it
slopes do
applies
exist.
because
The fallacy is when you apply the slippery slope where there is no slope. That doesn't mean that no slippery slope exists.
well, the point here is he's saying if we use the moral axioms of Christianity, there's a slippery slope that they will become.
Absolutely, there's a slippery slope, and I just gave you a great example of it.
Okay. The problem that I see with this idea of the slippery slope is that the whole premise of what you're basing all of your argumentation from comes from.
Just made one argument.
It's a simple argument. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated.
It is complicated because you're talking about morality, and we're talking about a specific. We're talking about frameworks of morality, and he's saying, well, I think that if we use the framework of Christianity, we're gonna be in a slippery slope. And the problem is that if you use any framework, we can apply specifically that argument, and there's not gonna be a way in which you can get away from it.
That's where you get into the fallacy. So saying that there is, I got you next, CT. So saying that this is a slippery slope isn't inherently a fallacy. It's only a fallacy when you're saying it's a slippery slope, when it's not actually a slippery slope. And, you know, like, for example, people want to argue that the acceptance of gay marriage was the slippery slope to all this trans stuff. And
well, it is.
Okay.
It was.
So then you can't, so now you agree that there is such a thing as a real slippery slope. Just making the argument that this is a slippery slope.
That was
hold on.
The argument they were making at the time was not an actual argument.
Hold on. So all I am saying is that just because somebody invokes a slippery slope isn't the fallacy. The fallacy is invoking a slippery slope where there is no slippery slope. So if you agree that such a thing as a slippery slope can exist, then you can't just say, oh, you said slippery slope, so that's not an argument. That's a non sequitur.
No. Okay. What I'm saying is that I'm rejecting the idea that this is a slippery slope.
Okay, well then you have to make that argument. You can't just say, well, that's a fallacy. You have to make that argument.
I will reject it because we have the only way we get to the point in which you're actually enjoying the freedoms you're having is based on the Christian ethos. And every other system that you can come up with, you're not going to be able to get to the point in which you have this kind of liberties.
Well, I would disagree.
Well, hold on, Adam. Hold on. Let's go to CT, and then you'll go.
Well, hold on. He still has not addressed my question. That's the.
I know CT's been waiting though. We're doing our best. Just take a note on your phone or something. CT, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Adam. I know there's like 5 people trying to talk. So. First
We're
off,
all friends.
Your argument is based off a religious constitution that you have built off the Bible that I think you're misreferencing personally. But what I will say is to pull it back to the actual constitution of the question, you're saying legalize prostitution. And if you're saying because of the Bible, we should make prostitution illegal, which I'm not saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
Hold on, Emmet.
he's straw manning me.
Okay, so then when he's done with the straw man, then you can be like, no, that's a straw man because of this, especially because of his mic. Let him finish.
Okay, I'll talk slower because of my mic.
Please don't. Keep it moving, brother.
I'm trying to keep. God.
So that's why I stopped him and gave it back to you. Just go.
What other things based off the Bible would you think we should make illegal only off scripture?
This is simply a straw man because I am not a sola scriptura guy, so I don't base all of my theology nor my prescriptions purely on scripture.
But your entire
my argument was not based. And I didn't cite any scripture. I cited ideas when it comes from, and I said the specific criteria in my argumentation of why I think this should be illegal, and then I based it as in part of it is that, as we know, during in Christian theology, this would be an immoral act as well.
But that's
So
also
it's not only on.
Yeah,
Morality.
but CT, that's also a non sequitur because you can have. I mean, you know how I feel about making laws about from scripture, but it is not illogical or it's not a fallacy to say I want this law because of the Bible, but I don't want. I want this law for other reasons.
It's
So I
not-
get where you're coming from, and I agree with the notion that the Bible should not be used for a sole justification, but that is not inherently illogical.
It's not, but that's why I asked what he would say.
That's
So yeah,
what
I agree.
said.
I agree that it does seem a little lopsided that we. I mean, I'm not going to use the phrase special pleading, but it feels like we're trying to put prostitution in a different box than other harmful behaviors that hurt society that are.
Well, but that would be a
harm.
tu quoque at this point, right? It's like, well, but what about this? We're not actually talking about.
Well, right,
prostitution.
but because
It
we're
would be
trying
a
to
tu
get to the
quoque.
principle behind. If I'm to
Yeah.
say.
And I gave you the principle, and I gave
Right.
you the ideas behind the principle. So I don't,
Right.
I don't see at
Yeah.
what point CT is just asking me about the Bible when I didn't even mention it as part of the thing. It's like I didn't cite anything when it came to the Bible, right?
Listen,
You did cite Christianity though, but
I did say Christianity. I didn't
Yeah.
say in
Well,
Bible
in
chapter
Romans,
5,
but-
verses
so then
24 and 25. It says
so then
this.
CT, would it be a fair question?
if it might sound like that question came out of left field, because I wanted to ask that question 3 questions ago, but I kept getting cut off. So that's the root of my question: is if you keep saying that your argument to prostitute being legal is based off biblical reasons,
I got you, Emmet. Hold on.
then why should other things not be based off biblical reasons?
So, CT, I think what you're misunderstanding is that Emmet is invoking Christianity, not the Bible. Is that correct, Emmet?
Yeah, I'm saying Christian ethics, and I'm saying that there's a specific criteria, and I'm talking specifically about prostitution. Okay, I don't see any problem, for example, with alcohol. One of the first miracles of Jesus Christ was to convert the water to wine. So there's a big difference between one thing and the other. Wait,
That didn't happen. Come on.
Jesus fucking Christ! You know what?
Though, what do you say about Mary Magdalene?
She was not a prostitute. You don't know the passage.
All right, let's look it up then. What?
Tell me if you want to go ahead and read it all. Just tell me where exactly did it say that?
Where does Jesus say what again?
How the fuck do you expect Magdalene a prostitute?
That Mary
She
Magdalene
wasn't.
was a prostitute.
That's a fallacy of the church.
Okay, that's one of the most common misconceptions in Christian history. But no, the Bible never actually says that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. Here's what happened. In the Gospels, she's described as a woman whom Jesus freed from 7 demons. She later became one of the most devoted followers, and she's the first witness to the resurrection. Nowhere in the scripture is she called a prostitute, adulteress, or sinful woman, in quotes. The confusion started centuries later, 591 AD, when Pope Gregory I gave a sermon where he merged 3 different women in the Gospels. So there's Mary Magdalene, some whore, and Mary of Bethany. So not a prostitute, falsely conflated with another unnamed woman, and actually one of Jesus' most important and loyal followers. I did not know that.
Yeah. So the church did
Don't know
did
that.
it themselves.
Can you look where?
CT, you just didn't know that. It's fine, okay?
No, listen.
Emmet, check the private chat if you haven't.
Oh, okay.
Can you look up where the line "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone" come from?
Well, that goes back to the prostitute at the well where they were about ready to stone her, but that's where that comes from.
Sin should cast the first stone, and its relevance to prostitution or Mary Magdalene.
Well, it's going to be relevant to the prostitution because Mary Magdalene is not the woman.
Yeah.
Say again.
I guess that
So
It's
what verse is
relevant-
used without sin should cast the first stone, and its relevance to what about what we're talking about? Mary Magdalene specifically, or prostitution?
prostitution.
To prostitution. And the GPT says, John 8:7, he who is without sin among you, let him be the first to cast a stone at her. Full context, John chapter 8, 1 through 11, the religious leaders bring to Jesus a woman caught in adultery, not explicitly a prostitute, but accused of sexual sin. They remind him that according to the law of Moses, such a woman should be stoned to death. Their goal is to trap Jesus. If he says stone her, he loses his image of mercy. If he says let her go, they can accuse him of breaking the law. Instead, Jesus stoops down, writes something in the dirt. The text doesn't say what, and then says, let him the stone. One by one, the accusers leave. Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. So relevance to prostitution. While the woman in this story is caught in adultery, not prostitution, the passage has long been associated with sexual sin and the way society judges women. Historically, both adultery and prostitution were condemned harshly, often with more social shame directed at the woman than the man. So over time, the story became a symbol of mercy over judgment, hypocrisy, and redemption.
Yeah, and Lutch, I just want to call you out, man. That for you shouldn't be disrespecting the prostitutes because the prostitute puts value on what she's doing. A whore does not. And I just felt that you were, shaming prostitutes by equating those two.
How dare you, Lutch? How dare you?
Man.
You know what?
I just call them whores because I don't know the names individually. All right,
because I can't call them Violet and.
All right, so I wanna start winding this down, and I want to give everybody
just a second, I just want to say something about that. Again, you don't know the story, and it's very simply, it was not about prostitution, it was adultery. And we can see it because in the text it says that. So there's your answer to that.
Yep, that is what we read live on stream in front of everybody.
All right, pick up your stones, boys.
one
in.
All right, so we'll go, let's go to CT first. We're going to let you, if there's a little bit of back and forth, we got about 15 minutes. Get your best question for Emmet or for me. Get it, go it, and we're gonna move on. So let's go to CT first.
Okay, I'll keep it short. I guess what I want to say to Emmet is that multiple times throughout this debate, I know I've made a lot of claims, and we've gone back and forth on some, but you keep questioning that means like I'm not a true Christian that questions my faith. That's not the point of the arguments I'm making. That's not and it kind of falls back to what you're saying of like you keep making assumptions based off of certain things. I don't have to be right about specific stories or verses in the Bible to say I'm a Christian. And then, but at the same time, it doesn't make you a wrong Christian. I'm just saying you're passing assumptions and you're passing judgments on things that I don't think you have the Constitution to pass judgments on. I don't think that's your place. It's not my place.
Fair enough, Emmet.
It's neither.
Prove that I make any judgments on you. Prove that I said that you are not a Christian. Prove it.
I will definitely give credence to the fact that when you were giving the litmus test of, do you know the Nicene Creed? I mean, I was full bore Christian for the first 25 years of my life, and didn't.
Yeah,
did I say? Maybe you can hold on. Maybe hold on.
Lutch,
Maybe you
did
can.
I
Maybe
say
you
he's
can,
not a Christian?
Hold on. Maybe
did
you
I
could.
said it?
Well, what was the implication then? Why were you asking that?
Did I said it?
I didn't ask you that. Why did you ask him about the Nicene Creed?
I wanted to know if he knew anything about Christianity, and I asked that.
So you have to know about the Nicene Creed in order to know anything about Christianity. It's not enough to know. It's not enough to know about the Trinity and that Jesus came down, and there was the Old Testament, and Jesus came down.
How do you know about
the New
Trinity?
Testament, and then was killed and resurrected, and you have a relationship, and that's not a Christian unless you know the Nicene Creed. Exactly.
how do
So you were trying to.
know-
You were
Wait,
trying.
wait, wait. I'm not-
You were trying to litmus
You asked
test.
me a question. Are you gonna let me answer the
It was
question?
kind of rhetorical.
Are
It was
you
kind of
gonna ask me?
rhetorical
Are
because
you
no,
gonna let
you
me-
don't need
okay,
to know
no,
that.
you're not
in
gonna
order
let
to be
me
a
answer the
Christian.
question. You're just gonna go ahead and
Okay,
pretend
go
that
ahead,
you're
go ahead,
right in
go
that
ahead,
aspect,
go ahead,
right?
Go ahead.
It's like, oh,
Go ahead.
It
Go
would be.
ahead
It would be
and
this
answer the
way.
question.
It would be
I'll give
this
you full
way, okay?
stage.
Yeah, it would be this way. If I go ahead and say that I'm an atheist, but I have faith in Jesus Christ, I'm an atheist.
Jesus Christ is not a god, but what do you mean faith that he was a real person? Yeah.
Well, oh God. Well, we
Hold
cannot
on, no,
agree on
yeah.
anything. If you think he's not a god, we cannot agree on anything, okay?
That is
Because
the
Jesus
Christian
Christ is
ethos.
God.
That is inherently
So,
what
Jesus
atheist
Christ
means.
is God. It is
Okay,
God.
I
So if a
understand that you
person
believe
says Jesus Christ is not God, is he a Christian?
You can
No.
answer.
If a person says Jesus
No.
Christ is not God, okay, then we can have ideas of who is
Okay,
what, depending
so
on what they say.
you can only have conversations
I never
with
said,
someone who
I never,
understands your specific
no,
brand of
no, 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 no,
Christianity.
no. I never said you are not a Christian. I never give him any kind of judgment. I never said any of that.
So then I will
ask
go
him
back to the
questions,
original question.
and people can go on and make their own assumptions about what kind of person is asking me about my supposed own faith. Okay.
Nobody's asking you anything about
Yeah,
your
he
faith.
did.
You
He was
asked
like,
him.
how
asked
can
him.
you
asked
tell
him.
me?
You asked
CT,
him.
CT asked
Don't
me,
make me
and
mute you,
CT's
bro.
been
Don't make
asking
me
me
mute you,
what
bro.
kind
Don't
of.
make me- Stop. Please stop.
CT's been
Please,
asking
I'm
me.
asking nicely.
No,
Please stop.
wait. Oh.
Okay. So thank you. So I'm specifically talking about when we were having the discussion and CT said he was a Christian, and then you stopped him in his tracks when he was asking a question about being a Christian, and to test him to see if, what seemed like, and I will allow you to correct me if I'm wrong. It seemed like you were trying to say, oh, if you don't know X, Y, and Z, then you're not as good of a Christian, or you don't have the justification to come from a Christian perspective to say anything. If I'm wrong about that, then that's the way it seemed. Please correct me.
Yeah, if I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna be asking you questions about a specific criteria, let's say physics, and you come, let's say I tell you I'm a master in physics, and you ask me, well, you're a master in physics, what is a force? And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
But he didn't say he was a master Christian. He said he was a Christian. Do you need? And so I come back to the question. So you got mad at me that I wasn't letting you answer the question, and now you're not answering the question.
Well,
Are you not a Christian because you don't know the Nicene Creed?
That's fine.
We can
move on because
you
you're not letting me answer.
I asked you the question, and then you went on a rant.
I'm trying.
Okay, fine. I'll ask you the question again.
I'll
ask you the question again.
Sure, ask it again.
Is somebody not a Christian if they believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and that he's part of the Trinity, and he was killed, and he was resurrected after 3 days, and all of that stuff? If they don't know about the Nicene Creed, does that mean that that person is not a Christian? Yes or no?
I never said that.
I know you didn't say that. That's why I'm asking you right now.
But you're making the claim.
Yes or no? You got mad at me that I wasn't letting you answer. Now you're fucking just answer the question. Yes or no? Yes or no?
I cannot tell you if they are a Christian or not.
Okay, so then my follow-up is then why were you asking CT about the Nicene Creed? What was
because I wanted to know if he knew anything about Christianity. We're not in a specific place in time where he cannot know about the Nicene Creed. He cannot know about any of that. And the Nicene Creed is pretty much saying all that you mentioned. Okay,
we all saw it. Leave it.
We all saw it exactly. We all saw that he was asking me what kind of authority I'm supposed to have, and he knows nothing. That's the whole point.
So fine. Let's go back to
shit about Christianity. And he's coming here trying to pretend that I am supposed to be the guy that is judging on it.
Okay, so we're gonna let CT get his final words in. Any response from Emmet, and then we're gonna move on to Madness. CT, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So you say you weren't trying to challenge what my Christian faith was, but then you brought that up. But then it's in the next breath, you asked me what. How do you phrase it? What, how that justifies my?
Yeah, I'm just asking you to prove it. Just prove that I said that you're not a Christian. Just say that. Just prove that.
What?
Just no. We're done with that. We're done with that. Everybody saw what happened. Everybody has their opinions. Do you have a specific question on the legalization of prostitution for Emmet before we go, or no?
No. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And did he? Oh, well, who else just left? Madness left. Okay. Well, Adam, then the floor is yours final thoughts for Emmet, and then since Madness fell out, we'll go to Madness. Adam.
Well, I think both of you guys did really well in the opening and the general dialogue. I just want to say I appreciated that. I think it went better than the one I saw on I think it was Saturday. His stuff. Thought this one was much more productive in the sense, and maybe it's because it was very specific. So I just want to commend you guys on that. And Emmet. I felt that you certainly have your morality in regards to how you see things, but I would probably just say that with a question like that and stuff, as it relates to legalizing, we're really talking specifically about in America or whatnot, and maybe those arguments are more concretely held. And just sticking to that, because when we invoke the Christianity piece into it, then as you can see, we can go through some rabbit holes and stuff. But I did think you guys overall did really well and was very respectful to everybody. And I appreciate you, Emmet and Lutch, for letting me speak and answering my questions. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Adam, if you want, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit tired at this point. I'm in Lodge's Discord. If you wanna send me once again the slipper slope question, I'll try to answer it in a better way because I've been here for almost 2 hours. So, but yeah, I'll try to answer that.
Oh, right on. You were good. You were good. I was good. I will do that though. Thank you, Emmet.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother. Have a good one. Madness, what do you got for us? Closing thoughts for Emmet.
Thanks everybody for being here tonight. You guys have been an outstanding audience. We do appreciate. No, I'm just kidding. Outstanding debate, guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you, Emmet. I will say, I wish CT was still here at the moment, but at the, I think it was a gotcha moment when you made the thing that Jesus is coming at you about. But in all honesty, I think your bullshit meter was kind of going off, and I understand why you challenged CT in that. CT, if you're watching, love you, but we gotta have our facts straight if we're gonna challenge things. Coming at us with the Mary Magdalene being a prostitute, and we all got schooled there, right? So we got to make sure that if we're having a good argument, I will push back. I'd love to hear more about the consequences. That if this was an illegal act, what kind of consequences we would impose on those, and the debate on the morality of that and what the morals would look like in those consequences. But thank you for having an outstanding and consistent conversation, and I hope you have a great night, and I look forward to chatting with you guys again.
Absolutely. Shout out.
I will say real quick, just to finish it, I never said that he was not a Christian. And the reason why is because I don't know. I don't fucking know. But I can tell you that there's criteria that we know under which things are supposed to be Christian and which things are not supposed to be Christian. And at the end of the day, it's like I was trying to figure out if what exactly was he saying and where he was coming from. If he knows about the basics, that would say that the Nicene Creed is something very basic about Christianity.
Fair enough. And I mean, again, I don't necessarily care. I don't think that is too much of a factor in what we were talking about, which is why I didn't want to spend too much time on it. I do think that maybe CT came in a little hot and you threw it back, and it gets that way sometimes. But I'm very glad that you and I were able to have an interesting discussion, and we came to a point pretty not quickly is the wrong word, but pretty concisely to the point where it's like, oh, okay, we kind of just disagree on this. And nailing down to where that is, and the fact that I, despite being mostly a utilitarian, I put individual liberty up there, and I believe that if you are a man or a woman, and there's no other option, that you have the freedom to do with your body as you choose, and especially as a non-believer, as an agnostic atheist, then there's nothing there for me to see objectively that is different about that transaction than any other transaction, whether it has to do with safety, whether it has to do with societal harm, all those things. I think there's a lot of things like that that are legal, and I don't want to be in the position where everything that we don't like, we have to revert to the government to say, you can't do that. I want to build our culture such that the things that we don't like, we don't need the government to say that when you go to a whore, we're like, oh, what a fucking loser. Like, what are you doing, bro? Go get married. That is where I'm coming from. So yeah,
And
I mean,
I can respect that in a sense. It's like I don't have a direct problem with that. My problem is that I think there is no problem in the moral axiom for us to be like, no, we're not gonna allow this to happen. This is absolutely wrong, right? But I can I thank you. But it was a very good, especially within your meeting. The discussion and the whole conversation was really good. We got to different places that I believe were extremely productive. So yeah, thank you so much for giving me the platform and for having this conversation.
definitely, man. We got to do this again. So again, I'll give you the floor. If anybody didn't see when we started, where can they find you? What do you do? And anything else you want to tell them?
So I have a channel. My channel is State of Gaming. Usually what I do is sometimes I have open panel. Most of the time I'm either working on pixel art, I'm doing games, or I have forced karaoke, so you can pay $5 on Saturdays and I will sing any song you want me to sing. If you want to come on panel and sing with me, you can do it as well. I do a little bit of, I don't do apologetics, but I do consistency debates and pretty much any kind of debate that you want to have. And yeah, I would recommend you all to go to church. Have a good one.
Nah, don't do that. All right, beautiful, brother.
Well, not you. You're Indian anyway, so who cares?
I'll take it. I'll take it, brother. Thank you so very, very much for this conversation. I know people are coming at you, but I really appreciate you coming into, I guess, enemy territory. I thought more people would be on your side than my side, but you never know where it's gonna go. But yeah,
well, it's your channel. Like I think it's your channel.
Yeah, but most of them
people
are
like you.
Disagree a lot. But I was surprised. And so the final count post-debate poll: should prostitution be legal? 62% of people said yes, it should be illegal, with 38% saying no. Emmet, thank you again, brother. I'm sure we will see each other, if not here, then on Gridge channel or Raging Tomato or somewhere. Thank you so very, very much for hanging out. And you have a good night, brother. And don't make yourself a stranger, especially in the Discord.
Yep.
Have a good one. All right, guys. All right. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's also go through some of these chats before we head to the after party. I see Adam and Madness already in there. Yeah, I think Bucket is that's fair here. Said he did never say that that you're not a full Christian. But there is no other reason to ask, well, do you know this? Do you know this? Do you do this? Then it's a litmus test. But to be fair, you came in kind of hot, CT. And so, when we talk about earning the goodwill, you gotta slow your roll and build that goodwill. And then when they're being an asshole, then you can do that. And so, in my opinion, Emmet was totally justified to sit back and, do this, that, and the other, because he was responding to that type of energy. And yeah, CT saying, when you talk about a fake pretentious Christian, Emmet is that. I appreciate you trying to specify my question. And I think that I don't think it is as heavy and severe as an insult or a diss when I speak about Christians this way, because sorry, I think a lot of you fit into this category, but I will always try to be fair because I care about the conversation. I care about having the right answers, and I can't get the right answers if I'm just trying to convince you guys that I already have it. If I have the wrong answer and then I'm proven wrong and I don't take that, well then, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? And nope, nobody justified state aggression. We didn't even get that far, that if it is justifiable that this should be illegal, If it's justified that this should be legal, then we are saying the state is entitled to enact aggression and force and violence to make you not do that. And I just don't believe that. Whit said, I appreciate y'all for your appreciation of my view on this issue. Well, mostly because I agree with you, but absolutely, brother. Steel Man said, to summarize, Emmet is a clown. Oh, come on, Emmet. He did good. He did good. It's fair. It's fair to just have different opinions. We don't all have to think the same thing. Just because we disagree about things doesn't mean anybody is wrong. Sometimes does, but not necessarily. And it doesn't mean that we can't be friends. We can't be a coalition. It doesn't mean any of those things. Excuse me. Liberty said, libertarianism and Christianity go hand in hand. Really? I don't know about that, but that's a conversation for a different day. Just feelings, right? Your feelings. Voting doesn't make you any more or less libertarian. It's on defense. Fair enough. It's not. Fair enough. That's why Emmet said he's not a good Christian. And I think that's the humility that you need to believe that you have the right ideas. You should believe that you have slightly better ideas than most other people. If that's not what you think, then you should think different things. I'm going to say that again. If you don't think that most of what you think is better than most of what other people think, then why are you thinking those things? Find out what those people who are thinking better than you and adopt what they're thinking. And if you continue to do that, then, you'll get better and better and better and better. Fuckers got a dip. We are, again, guys, let me drop the link to the Discord. I had it pinned. But, again, guys, shout out to Equality, who saved the stream. I really got to, I sent a message to Nick before about like, hey, can you mention this to the chat? But guys, if I'm getting a certain amount of donations when I just am covering a random podcast, and then I get $4 if I have guests, then it doesn't make sense for me to have guests. It makes sense for me to just find whatever random bullshit I can just talk about. And I don't want to do that. And I'm not going to do that. But I would love for you guys to see that there's more than just finding a podcast and playing it up and giving my opinions. Being in the conversation, bringing you guys up and letting you guys be part of the conversation. That is more than what I do for a normal show. So if you like this kind of thing, then these are the types of shows where, if you can only donate once a month, that's totally fine. Wait until I have a guest. I wish it didn't work that way, but it works that way. We got some late joiners. Shout out to Guam Tech. Welcome. Can I show the video? I'm sure he won't mind. Oh, hold on. Jesus. Shout out to Guam Tech. This, aside from all of that other stuff, what I really
so yeah, I get where you're coming from. I gotta let you go.
No problem.
Poor eyesight.
I just want to say one last thing before
Sure.
I go. Came from the Indian Jesus crew. Just want to say I still think that you guys would have a great conversation on MAGA atheists. So definitely
MAGA atheists. I would be Indian Jesus. I'll try to contact him. I would love to.
Perfect.
There you go.
Awesome, man. Love your
thanks so
stuff.
much, Guam Tech.
Just by saying it once.
Okay.
It changes the game. You guys have so much more power with this stuff than you understand. So shout out to Guam Tech. Thank you so very, very much. I am sure we will be seeing Rob Noor soon. Head on over to the Discord. We are heading over there. Shout out to Kelly Green. Anybody else? Liberty said, I must have missed the verse where Jesus went around torturing and assaulting people for being prostitutes. I said, shit, me too. I don't quite remember that, but he did say he was a monarchist, so he wants a king that is tied to the church. So that's a whole other thing. So again, guys, we are headed over to Discord. The link is pinned. Nope, the link is not pinned. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. If you hit that button, if you hit that link before this stream is over, in the next 30 seconds, you get a free day pass to come and hang out. We are going to go through it. And we might be talking some shit, or maybe not. There's only one way to find out. Come and join us. Let's give a big shout out to all of the donations. We had Cake 2. We had Boggs with the $2. And again. And then, of course, the sponsor of the stream, God damn it, we had Equality and Deference because Vagina with the big 20. Thank you guys so very, very much. Again, you know, I will do what you guys like, and I only know what you guys like by what you view and what you pay for. So if you want more of this, I can only go by what you support. But thank you guys so very, very much. I know that you could be out there doing anything that you want, anything else in the world, and yet you are here hanging out with Morty sleeping over here. Well, he's not really sleeping. He's kind of just chilling. But Morty, the co-host, and of course, I have been your host, Lech, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.